That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Alrighty, welcome back to Sci-Fi and Friends, episode number 75. The Ethereum merge went well. I don't know. I'm kind of keeping up with it. It's the first day of fall, September, was it 22nd? Something like that? Yeah. And it feels like fall here in the 4 states, finally. We'll see how long it lasts. Besides that, we got a new editor, Austin. And this week he's going to have some footage to edit, which is going to be great. We'll be doing some more clips on all the social reels. And anything else? No. Hoping you're having a great fall as it just starts like 12 hours in. But yeah. Okay. My guest today is former lead pastor at RFC and Grace Community Church in Southeast Kansas. He is the co-founder of STOA Ministries and currently practicing at Wes Davis Guidance Care. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Wes Davis.
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
It's great to be here. Good to see you.
Yeah, we've been trying to do this for a while. You know, you've been... Yeah. I always tell people I have like 2 lists of guests. I have like the regular list, and then another one I call the God tier. Like if I could get them on, you're on the God tier.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow. No pressure.
Yeah. No. It's like you're a professional person. You're not like Tommy. Like Tommy comes on. He's like, we're just buddies. You know.
Yeah.
It's like,
good dude.
You're Wes Davis. So thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for your patience. And me finally showing up.
Yeah, you've been traveling a little bit. Actually, you just went on your honeymoon, right? Mm-hmm. Where did you guys go?
We went to Montana.
Oh yeah, nice.
It was sweet. Yeah. Went up to Glacier National Park.
Surprised you came back.
Did not want to. I think the closest we were to Canada was 9 miles, and we were camping out there, and it's like, this is where I want to live, kind of thing. It was beautiful. We just had a great time.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And it's a good test of your marriage, that 80 hours in the car together.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, all the way home, our last stretch was from Denver on in home, about 12 hours. We didn't listen to a book.
Really? We
didn't turn the radio on. No, we talked the whole way home on our last day of being together for 15 days. So it's like, I think this marriage thing is good.
That's a great sign.
It is a good sign. Yeah, and it's because she's a great lady. She's pretty cool. So
yeah, she is cool. I think that was the first time I met her when you guys came in to do the audio for the marriage video. So I was trying not to pry too much. But I'm like, what do you do? You know?
Yeah.
And I didn't know she lived up there on the Timber Ridge line.
Yeah.
He's like, I pass your house all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. You know, where Kenny and Diana built that house years ago, and then they moved into the neighborhood, and so we've known each other for 20 years, and neighbors and all that, and watched each other's kids grow. Mackenzie used to babysit her kids, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool community back there.
And friends, cool, just been friends for a long time.
Yeah. In fact, I drove back there. It's probably been 2 months because your former house is for sale again.
Okay.
By I don't know, whoever owns it now. And I went back there to like talk to the guy because the price wasn't listed. So I was just curious, like, what do you want and everything. It was the neighbor. It would be off to the east. He was out burning leaves, and we got to talk, and I was like, cool. I know Wes, and he's like, oh, I miss Wes. I wish he still lived here.
Ryan's a good dude.
Yeah. But yeah, they wanted a lot of money for that house.
That's what I heard. So way more than I got from it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have that much, so take care.
Good to see you.
Yeah. But so now you're back from the honeymoon, and now practicing full time at this Guidance and Care, which now I know Josh said you bought 40 acres outside of Baxter. Now that was that for this purpose, or was that just kind of a spot to play?
Yeah, it was a spot. Before we got married, I was going to build a house there because I have a camper, living in a camper on the river on Shoal Creek there.
Nice.
So when it was next to our friends, our longtime friends, and so they had told me about it and didn't want really anybody else moving in there. So I was like, I'll go look at it, and then just fell in love with it. And it's like, so ended up, long story short, this is a crazy story, but Jen and I bought that together as friends. I wanted 20, she wanted 20, and they were going to sell it at 20-acre parcels. Well, then the guy who was going to sell it decided, no, I'd like to sell the whole 40 together. So we're like, okay, well, we're friends. We trust each other. We'll divide it later, but let's just go ahead and get it done before somebody else jumps on it. So we bought it before we were dating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And now we own 40. It's actually 42 acres together.
Nice. That's a good buy.
It's like somebody knew something that we did not.
Yeah, right.
And it's almost like people are like, I don't know about that.
right. That's kind of my first thought. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys didn't know, but you knew.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. It's glad that
it's
worked
crazy,
out like that.
Yeah. Because the neighbor's one of her best friends. And so it's like, wanted to do them a solid of, I don't want anybody to listen there.
Yeah.
I really didn't feel like I had the stroke for all 40. And she's like, well, I'll do the other 20 and we'll figure it out later. And we did.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
We really figured it out.
That comes full circle.
Yeah.
Right? This makes it very easy to divide.
Yeah. So that's why I haven't built a house there.
Okay.
I got everything ready.
You cleared it. I saw some videos of you guys burning.
Cleared it. And put a well, put electricity.
Oh, you put a well?
Yeah, there's a water well there.
That's
it's
awesome.
all set. My camper's still there because I lived there.
Okay.
I started living there, and then when we got married, we have Jen's house. So
you guys didn't want to move into the RV?
Sometimes I do.
Well, most men get what that means.
Yes. It's a really glorified doghouse.
Ew, it's great. Yeah, it's isolation. Casey'd be all over that.
Yeah, sometimes I go out there. I just tell Jen, hey, I'm going to the land. She's like, got it. Cool. So she's super great about it. That's my happy place, my peace spot. Kind of. So we're still going to build a house, waiting for lumber prices and all that stuff to work out. All that. So,
like, will you build a livable house? Well, of course, livable, but like a home.
Yeah, it'll be a regular, like 3-bedroom.
Okay.
Jen likes to call it a cabin.
Yeah, 3. That's a cabin mansion.
Yeah. At first, I was like, "This is going to be a 1-bedroom."
Yeah, right.
My spot, and not when you get married, it grows.
Right.
And there's grandbabies, and it's yeah, I think if she had her way, it'd be like 7 bedrooms.
Right.
And all
Yeah.
that.
A basement. Right. We have like the granny flat in the back.
Yeah. All that stuff.
Which ain't bad, but I'm more of the 1-bedroom type guy.
Yeah. So we're trying to compromise.
There you go.
Work through those things.
Yeah.
But it'll work out.
Have you thought about maybe, I don't know how much timber's on the land, but it looks like quite a bit. Have you ever thought about logging out some and using that lumber to build, or?
Yes.
Yeah,
we've looked at some of those options, and they're still in play a little bit.
Yeah.
So some of it we're going to do a little bit of post and beam kind of in the kitchen area, and so that's the dream.
Yeah.
Is to log out some of that lumber and have it dried and things like that. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
That's what Mom cut down, she had cut down 2 big white oaks. I mean, big, that were leaning towards the house. Ooh. As far as I can remember being conscious, they've been leaning towards the house. So it's crazy that it just getting done now.
Yeah.
But I was telling her, like, man, you have 20 feet of prime oak. They're really straight and everything, but she hasn't got around to getting them lumbered out. And I'm like, man, you need to get on that. That's a ton. That's $1,000 worth of wood, right? Maybe more.
Yeah. They're very proud of that stuff. It's nice. So yeah.
And how cool to build a house out of oak, and then not only out of oak, out of like your
on your land. Yeah.
It's like very Walden, like, Yeah. I did this.
Yeah. We had a dead tree in our backyard there at Timber Ridge, and it was a walnut. Oh. And so I cut that down and I turned it into a kitchen table.
You did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that was kind of, I know the feeling of going, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's off of our land and all that. So
that whole process, just knowing, like, I don't know what this tree looked like. I built this table, but I just bought the wood.
Yeah, right.
But to go back and like, I saw that tree, I stood under it, and now it's like something that you can continue on. It's a really cool feeling.
Yeah, it's fun.
So if you have the space for it, that's woodworking is, well, like Jesus was a woodworker. It's like, man, it is something, it is almost like a meditation when you're sanding, or I don't know. I find a lot of joy in it, and I've done some projects like this and whatnot, but
a little therapeutic.
I go to the edge. I just don't go over. Like it's like more hobby, and I just know how far like dovetails and all those types of techniques. I know how far it goes. I'm like, I got too much going on. I don't want to go. I know it's awesome, but I'm not doing it.
It's like everything, you can get in the intricacies of the details and just consume you.
Yeah.
I always wondered if Jesus being a carpenter, if he cheated once in a while. I was like, oh, that's like a half inch short.
Do you know? Yeah, right. Do you know like how they measured and stuff back then? Like there was no Home Depot with.
They had like a cubit was like the length of your arm to your elbow.
Okay.
And so,
what if it was like Goliath's arm though?
Yeah. So, but they kind of came up with a standard of measurement, and they used ropes and knots.
Okay.
Kind of things like that. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, the Egyptians built the pyramids, so there's a lot of there's a lot of cultures around that time, and that probably would have some sort of standard, like you said.
Yeah. There's a phrase called generational bias. Or arrogance, but people use both, where we think we're the smartest generation.
Yeah.
Right? But like, we have a lot of technology, and we have developed that, but we stand on the back of their shoulders. Some of those engineering feats, like think about the pyramids and some of that stuff, it's like, those dudes were brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
And just because we have more data at our disposal than they had in their whole lifetime, and my cell phone, right?
You're right.
What is the cell phone is a bigger computer than it when it
went to the moon.
Went to the moon.
Yeah.
Talk about guts, right?
Yeah, no joke.
I don't even trust my cell phone to get good reception sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that those people were just as smart and just as human and just as real, and struggled with different cultural things, but had the capacity that we do with the information they had, and they made it work.
Yeah. It makes me think of Ezekiel. Ezekiel? Which one is Ephesians? Is that the one that's really bad, where it's like everything's been done? Is that Ephesians?
No, that'd be Ezekiel. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Which one of those?
Oh no, Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes. I knew it started with an E.
You're talking about Solomon. Yeah. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. Well, that makes me think of that. That whole phrase of people being the same throughout time, mostly throughout time, just different contexts, but it's still the struggling with human nature. That's what makes me also think of Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces. It's like there's this monomyth all over the world, and a lot of people interpret that as there's truth in that monomyth, like they all pulled from the same source. But I almost think it's reverse, to where it's like they all started from the same spot. They started as a human, and like from the collective unconscious, we're able to build this myth, and they all had their, like, the African myth, the Tibetan myth, and it all kind of has this string of truth through it, but really it's based in the human experience.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the fish story, that you caught a fish like this, and then the longer it went, it got this. And so stories grow, like when they do literary accuracy, they're usually the shortest, and the most truncated and the most terse is usually the oldest and the most accurate.
Right.
Because as stories grow, any fish story grows, but also human story grows.
Right.
And you start out real simple, apposite, and it becomes more complex. Well, every culture kind of likes their heroes, and they develop those things sometimes off the same storyline. So that's where they go, well, the Jews had this, the Chaldeans had this. It's like, yeah, those stories are going to circulate, especially by oral tradition.
Right.
And so, and it's interesting you say that, because we all start as human. That's kind of a psychological thought. There are different schools of thought in psychology too, that you figure out how people are so different. Like, this person A may have a personality disorder.
Pull that mic up to you.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
You can pull it all the way back.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
They may have a personality disorder,
Right.
and that's what makes them unique and distinct. And then this other person may have a different personality. They may be narcissistic or bipolar, or they may have anxiety disorder. And so the school of thought is to figure out what's going on with that individual person that's unique to them. But then you miss the kind of what you're saying, the human element of what if we all start as we're human.
Right.
And from my view, a human that's made in the image of God, so we are all equal. We're all loved, we're all cared for, and what if we start there, that it's not the things that make us so separate and our identities or our struggles so different, to be able to come back to, well, what's common about us?
Yeah.
We all have hurts. We all have broken areas. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
No one's completely flawed.
Right.
Ultimately,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And so kind of operating from the center out rather than the out of, this is, you're in this category, and our society really loves different categories, doesn't it? They're like, you're this, you're this, you're that, and no aspersions cast. I identify with this.
Yeah.
But to come back to my identity is centered here, and we try to find our commonality. What's true about us all? You and I are both humans, and we're both in the human struggle.
Yeah. Great place to start.
That's a great place to start, right? That's what I think. And so rather than what's different about you, you have really cool long hair, and I'm an old balding guy.
Yeah. There's more than that.
There's more than that, but I mean, just in a truncated version, you could have your identity in that, and I could have my identity in that.
Right.
And if I operate about, I'm an older balding guy, that doesn't tell my story. And it doesn't tell your story.
No, and it creates an unnecessary separation,
Right,
where it's like, who cares who has hair? Like we can still talk, and
you're the blue team, I'm the red team, or whatever. And like, that's what.
All right, now we're talking.
Yeah, that's what separates us.
Right.
And so you're unique that way. But like, what if we're all just humans? And find out what's common. And that's, in some ways, not to segue to that, that's kind of the heartbeat of STOA. Is let's sit on the back porch.
Yeah.
And have a conversation, one human to another.
Yes, yes.
Because the STOA is a protective shelter area that's supposed to be safe. And all are welcome.
Like to discuss, or to be, or to interact, or just all the above. Like,
absolutely,
this is a safe,
share thoughts, theories, poetry, art, ideas. And so in the biblical days, in the temple, only the purest of Jews could go into that temple area, and then only the men could go further. The women, children were out, and only the priest on the inner part. The STOA was the area outside of the temple, somewhere between the sacred, holy of holies, and the secular, the street people, merchants on the street. STOA is that place where people could gather and exchange thoughts, philosophies, ideas, but all were welcome. Everyone could come and have an exchange of idea. And so if we can do that with a caring and benevolent way and see what areas are common versus what areas of you're that team and I'm this team,
right,
us and they, right, then we could have an open conversation.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of it.
Are you familiar with Ram Dass?
I've heard a little bit,
Ram Dass, or formerly known as Richard Alpert.
Before
all the experiences. There's
the many experiences.
There's a scene at the very end of a documentary called Zeitgeist, and it's a clip of Ram Dass talking, and he says something along the lines of, you see people as richer, poorer, younger. You see all these dimensional distinctions that and put them, I'm literally quoting him right now, put them in categories and treat them that way. But it's when you find, or when you see the essence in me is the same essence in you, and indeed we are all one. So he kind of goes into the realm of we are all one, and I'm not sure where you are on that. I'd like to know that we are all either maybe from the same source, or that you are experiencing, let's see, how would you say that? Your experience from a different focal point within reality, but from the same entity. Maybe that's what Ram Dass is saying, but made me think of of the starting from human nature, or starting from we are humans first.
Yeah. And I would go, so my difference would be, rather than we're all one, my belief, and this is a belief, we are all of the same Father.
Oh.
We all come from the same one.
Right.
Like I believe as God as creator and I as creature, we all are creatures. We are created by one with our own unique individual, our own unique personality. Because that's part of when we say being made in God's image. Doesn't mean I look like him, and I don't know what he looks like, right? But depiction of like long white flowing hair and a beard, and in America he's white, of course.
Blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah, long hair, blue eyes.
Almost looks like a rock star kind of guy. You know,
yeah,
like a
he's
punk
really
rocker or something.
and really mild.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Until he gets mad, then watch out.
The
right?
only thing he can do is flip a table, though. Like that's all he, and that's it.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
good.
all I got.
Yeah.
That's all the anger I got. Let's lunch.
Yeah, right. I'm good.
Peter, John, let's go get some fish.
Yeah.
Fish and chips.
Yeah.
But the ultimate is the idea that we come from the same one. Our identity isn't in me and connecting with you. I have the capacity to connect with you as a brother of the same Father, ultimately. We're from the same Creator. We're from the same God, in my idea. And because we're made in his image, I have the capacity for my own person because he has his own person. And so for me to be like him, I can reflect him to other people. And the bottom line is, A, do you believe he's creator? B, do you believe he's good? That's the big question for a lot of people is he really good, or is he really holding out, and why does he let evil, and then, you know,
Don't read Job.
right. Yeah. And why doesn't the jerk that cut me off go to hell right then?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know,
He might be in hell, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, that's why he's cutting you off.
That might be it.
Trying to
right,
escape.
Yeah, and so those are tension-filled, obviously, thoughts and things like that. But ultimately, in the terse way of saying it, we all come from the same one. We all have the capacity to reflect him back to himself and to other people. And we can become one in heartbeat, in attitude, in mindset, because he can help us be one. And so, yeah. But yeah, I like some of those principles of, there's a lot more shared than, you know, again, we spend all of our energy separating things out. And then the labeling of, they're bipolar. Write them off.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a single point amongst a mandala, which I think it's either Joseph Campbell or Jung. I think it's Jung. Talked about the mandala of the self. That's one of my favorite concepts.
So many, different aspects. I'm more than this, a prism of a diamond. Right. Many facets.
Yes.
And many angles.
But it's very complicated and very energy intensive to operate that way. Especially like, you know, downstairs we got some coffee. It's like if we looked at everybody as a mandala, we'd still be down there, you know, on the first person. But you kind of write it off to like, oh, here's basic white girl drinking her coffee. Like that's all the energy I can give her, if even that. Right. And you know, now I'm giving you way more energy to go through our self and these ideas, but to go out into the world, it's almost a survival mechanism to reduce things down very quickly and categorize them very quickly so we can just continue to operate without.
Yeah, you can only handle so much data in a given moment. No wonder we're stressed out and anxiety ridden, because on our phone, you'll have 1,000 conversations before lunch, at least in your head, and all the data coming at us. I don't have that energy. When I'm walking down the street and I say to John Doe, how's it going? I don't really mean that.
Yeah. You better not.
Yeah.
You don't want that door to open. Exactly.
Like with Tommy, you'll be there for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's not necessarily being fake. It's what's agreed on common cultural symbols to say. When I say, how you doing? I'm just being polite and saying, hey, hi.
Right.
You know, but it's a new, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't even know you.
Yeah. I see it as, for me, because I'm a bigger
It's kind
guy.
of sloppy language, really, but
Yeah. I see it as a like a security measure of like, you don't have to worry about me. Like,
yes.
I'm a big guy. We could fight or whatever, or I could
Right.
hurt you. It's not happening.
Yeah,
Like
people
that.
across the street,
Yeah.
they see you walking.
Well,
they go,
sometimes Casey
come
and
over
I,
here. Yeah.
like, we'd look at each other growing up, like, did you just see that? Like, someone would from across the store would like reroute. It's
Yeah.
like, God, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
We're just hungry, you know. Like,
Yeah, it's like the old handshake where they're checking for weapons, right?
yeah, exactly.
So the common greeting is, "Are you safe?"
Yeah, exactly.
And you're sometimes going, "I want to let you know I'm safe." So
Well,
how's it going, man?
Yeah, exactly. Most of the time, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
I want to be comfortable.
And
I
I'm
want
the
you to
other
be
guy.
comfortable.
I'm the other guy going, "Are you safe?"
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, I'm totally good. Totally good. Unless you're wearing some Steelers gear, then we have a problem.
Oh, yeah. Rightly so. I mean,
Right.
not that that's a bad category, but that's a bad
That's a
category.
bad. Yeah, that's a bad one.
I hate the label, but none of those are welcome on the STOA.
No. No Steelers fans ever.
Sorry, Tommy
You have
Gardner.
dumb ideas. You have dumb team. Oh, that's a really good team. That's a problem.
All those championships get in the way of my
grief.
humility.
Right. You're Chiefs fan? Yeah. Oh, you and
I know you Baltimore people.
you and. Well, we don't play each other this year, thankfully, because
okay.
you guys look good, feel good.
Yeah. Oh.
And then Josh is being a Denver fan. How was that? What happened there?
Backslidden,
Yeah, right. He's like, what team does Dad like?
traumatized.
Yeah.
I want to be different. That's what it is.
Well-
and Elway was so good.
Exactly.
Then, you know,
Yeah.
at 7 and 8, you're very impressionable. Like,
Yes.
they're winners.
Yes.
I'm with them.
I can
And
blatantly.
the Chiefs were not.
No, they're not for a long time. I remember, I mean, I can see it in my head. I saw a Nerf commercial, like a Nerf ball commercial of John Elway. Had no idea who he was, nothing. He looks at the camera, says his line, and launches this Nerf ball. And I looked at my mom and said, I want his jersey. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
And then it helped that Josh was a fan, Wes Heffley was,
yeah.
John Wagner. Like, they all, of course, we're all the same age and
Yeah,
fall into that.
Yeah.
But Ravens didn't come along until Jeff got the job with the Ravens in 2000. And then I was like, well, I guess
Yeah,
I'll just
that's
scoot
my
over
uncle.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Broncos weren't that good anymore.
Right.
So it was like a real easy transition.
But it makes sense. You have
Right.
a logical connection. Isn't that funny? It's like that's how we change. We adapt relational. You don't value what you don't have relationship with. You didn't value the Baltimore Ravens until you had a relationship with them through your uncle.
Right.
And now you value them.
Yeah.
Josh didn't value losing as a Chiefs kid.
Yeah.
I had a mental relationship growing up with them.
Right.
It's fair game for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I value championships.
Yeah. Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's one thing I remember Adam saying when we would do our mentor meeting. I called them mentor meetings. Like, what do I do, with my life or whatever? He's like, well, first we got to figure out what you value. If you value money, then that's going to dictate a lot of your choices. You're not going to choose to be
You won't go into ministry.
vagabond. Right? Yeah. Right. I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, something like
I'll
that.
volunteer.
Yeah. He's like, but if you value, traveling the world, like that's going to set up a different focal point for you to
Yeah.
make decisions. And so that was always, I've talked to Casey about that a lot because he has been quite the wanderer the past, for as long as I can remember, really. Yeah. And so it's like, well, what do you value? And then we operate from that stance of, he wants to be free or he wants money. And a lot of times, and this is what I struggle with a lot, is the contradiction. You want it all. I just told
Yeah.
Kelsey this morning. I was like, I want to live in downtown LA in a loft with I just live off the city. Like, I don't cook. I just go out to eat all the time. But I also want to live in the middle of nowhere with chickens and a pig and no internet.
Yeah.
Impossible. I can't do it. You
Right.
can't do that. But I find that I live in the contradictions a lot, and it takes a lot of unwinding or untangling. That's what I always told Adam. I was like, I need you to help me untangle everything because I just have wires going everywhere and something's not plugged in or something's crisscrossing. So
That's why rich people own homes in Florida and in Montana.
yeah, which
Because
would be nice.
Because they have the money to value or to live out those things of who doesn't, not everybody wants that, but yeah. I want the mountains. I want the beauty. I want the solitude. I
Right.
want the peace and quiet. But sometimes I like the excitement and the fervor.
Yeah.
And so we're all robust, complex beings that way. But we can't afford it all, so you have to decide.
Right.
You have to make choices of what do you value the most. And then it comes down to things like family, my wife, my friendships. We live, we tend to stay in our areas. That's where we develop friendships, and we end up valuing that more than, or like in this area, I value living in an area where I can afford a nicer home.
Right.
So I value a nicer home versus a city or like California where I could never afford the home I live in now.
Yeah.
Because of location, right?
100%, yeah.
But that allows us the flexibility to travel and go see those things temporarily.
Right.
Go to the beach for a weekend.
Yeah.
Go to Montana for a honeymoon, but
Yeah.
come back and live cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
So-
not only to, you said, but I think to budget, they have the resource. These rich people have money, which is a form of energy, but it's like everybody has only a X amount of time.
Right.
And that's,
They can't do
No.
live two places at once.
no, right. It's I'm going to quote Adam a lot, but
Cool.
there was
Yeah.
another time where he was saying he saw a magazine cover, and you've seen these too, the 500 places that you have to see before you die, and he was just appalled because, he's like, even if I started now and I went to one place every day or as fast as I possibly could, not only would I not have the time, the money, or the energy to enjoy it, I would never complete the list.
Right.
It's like,
Lose from the beginning.
yeah, you're done. Yeah, exactly. But I wonder if that thinking, was created with the invention of the endless data. Because even back in the day, like, I don't know, 100 years ago, to fathom going to 500 places, like, we believe we could get across the pond. You and I could drive to Kansas City tonight and we could be in Europe tomorrow, which is
Crazy.
a crazy thought. Yeah. But back in the day, they didn't even have that sort of concept in their mind that this is even possible. Plus, with social media, every scroll, like I got dad on Instagram for a little bit. What's he follow? Every hunting person out there. It ruined him. It ruined the hunting season. I think it was in 2020 when it was in the pandemic, but it ruined the hunting season because every picture is a trophy buck.
Right. And you're like,
Those don't exist. Like, every picture is a once in a lifetime buck, and it seems like everybody's killing them. No, it's like the top 1% of the hunters.
it's at your fingertips.
Yeah, and it's right there. And so then when he would go out and he would see a spike, he'd be like, "What the hell?" Like, where are all these trophy bucks? So it distorted his reality so much that he ended up like going off. But I wonder if that produces that sort of thinking of
Absolutely.
diversity or
I think that's the some of the poison in our culture.
Yeah.
Is so, for example, to use your dad to piggyback on that thought, then it ruined it for him.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't live up to that, so why try? You
Yeah.
lose hope, and hope deferred makes the heart sick. So there you're like, I'm a loser from the beginning, and that was a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, it was her first hunt. That's a true story in Kentucky.
Yeah, in her backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've been out here for weeks and years.
Years.
And so when people say that, it's not only hunting, but beauty. Now take a 16-year-old girl that in our society standards maybe struggles with weight or acne or other things that we don't value as beautiful. And all you see is all these beautiful people on TikTok and Instagram and all this stuff, and you're overwhelmed. And so then when you're going to get online, you're going to shape it because you now have the capacity to create your own image. And then you resort to, I just live in fantasy. I don't want to see you in real life. I don't want to pretend behind the box that I'm this person.
Yeah.
But I'm not really that person. And I know it.
Yeah.
I just don't want you to know it.
Yeah.
But I get to live that way. And so plethora of data and information.
Yeah.
So people are relegated to coming in, like Henry David Thoreau says, people live lives of quiet desperation.
Mm.
And so we're just doing it now with clicks.
Yeah. We're just building our fantasy, which I've had several times, a strange phenomenon where I meet someone in real life and they treat me like my fantasy version. And I'm like, you think I'm really good at jujitsu, but I'm not. Mm-hmm. I just post pictures of me on the mat, And it's like, wow, it's wild how much you can shape people's understanding of you, and how much they buy into it, and how much I buy into it. There's people I see in real life, which is a really weird distinction now, because there's literally two worlds. Yeah. There's the digital world and there's the RL real life world.
Now you know what an actor or actress feels like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
It's. Tom Cruise is like, I don't really fly jets. I just want to let you know.
He might.
He's probably that guy. Crazy. Okay, sorry, bad example.
He's the one's like, did you see him on top of the building in Dubai? He's crazy, man. He did his own stunts, and
that's what I hear.
He did his stunt on the top of the tallest building in the world, something in Dubai, and the shot was he's on the whatever they call that, steeple or whatever it's called. Yeah. He's up there with wires and everything, and the wind is blowing. They have a helicopter. Oh no, no, I don't care. I don't want no part of that.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah, I always think of like the bad guys, the actors that continually play the villain, and then you have this concept in your head of like bad. In real life, they're like really cool, really nice people. Right. Loki off of Marvel.
Yeah,
he's like super philanthropist, and it's like
generous,
very generous. Yeah, soft spoken. He's not like this arrogant, but his character that he plays is and
crazy.
And people have a hard time separating those.
They're acting.
Yeah. But there's something to be said. We do this less and less now, but there's something to be said with theaters and people being 50 feet tall. Mm-hmm. It's almost religious, almost like a temple statue. I'm thinking like Horus or something in Egypt. Like they were, I don't know how tall. They're big,
right?
And that's what that person, like Brad Pitt, is only 5'6" or whatever, and 120 pounds. Yeah. But on screen, he's a giant,
right?
And I don't think our brains are meant to handle that, or we have to handle it we have to remind ourselves, like you said, it's a movie or they're acting,
right? Yeah.
Which is difficult when you grow up in that society, and Mom would have to turn Jurassic Park off because I was like, there's a T-Rex in our living room right now. She's like, it's a movie. I'm like, I don't know if you know this, but we are in danger.
I'm sorry, ladies, but Brad Pitt does poop.
Yeah, right.
That probably stinks.
Right, yeah. Back to being human.
Back to being human.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I think that's the struggle with that kind of the alter ego of, either we give way to this persona, and we live in that. But the problem is the persona is the only one that gets glorified and complimented, and we absorb all that, but it doesn't go into our person. And so when people live in a persona, like on the screen or in a fantasy realm or whatever, then all the accolades are, you're great, you're great, you're great. Brad Pitt knows, I'm not really the guy from Troy.
Yeah, Achilles.
Achilles. Yeah, I don't really use a sword much. But it was rubber.
Yeah, right.
But to be a common person to say, "Oh, Brad, you're a super nice guy," you can only say that if you know him, and he can only absorb that if that's his true person, that he's truly nice. But if you say, "Wow, you're a great fighter,"
yeah.
Like, I'm an actor. That's called acting.
Yeah, right. It's so strange.
Yeah. And so that's the danger for us, too, not just actors and actresses on a stage. In some ways, that's a temptation for all of us to act a certain role, a certain persona. And when we do that, that's what gets fed and gets stroked. But inside, we're shriveling, and not getting nourished and fed.
Yeah, I've heard the saying that Elvis was an Elvis impersonator by the end of his career. He became that, and he couldn't be who he was. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of a spooky, weird loop to be caught in.
And so that's no shock why many famous people commit suicide, because they've never really been nourished. that persona just becomes bigger than who they are.
Right.
And all you're doing is feeding that, but they've shriveled inside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sad, it's a tragic tale that way,
Mm-hmm.
really. So,
And continually replays itself, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, well, who overdoses? The A-list actor. Like,
Yeah.
everybody knows, you know, the
it's
guy.
almost, yeah, like Wizard of Oz, you know, the classic scene of the wizard, and it's this great big guy. That's the persona.
Right.
And then the
Oh.
dog pulls her curtain back and like, pay no
dog.
attention to that man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're all doing that.
Yeah.
To go, I don't really want you to see who I really suspect myself to be.
Yeah.
Pull the curtain shut, and this is who I am.
Mm.
Let me show you to get what I want and hide that which I want to protect.
Yeah.
So
So
that's where we live.
the question would be, how do you get to a place where you are authentic to yourself and you don't have a curtain anymore, right?
Yeah. Humility is the beginning. Everybody wants humility, and it sounds like a cool word, but to be have humility, you got to be humiliated.
Right.
You got to be, first of all, willing to be honest with yourself and have an honest assessment. I think the other thing is to have friends around you that will tell you the truth. You know, like actors that have their entourage, like, oh, dude, you're the greatest. You're the best, man. Yeah. It's like, dude, I'm not always the best.
Yeah.
I have the capacity for good or for evil with finger snap of each other.
Right.
And recognizing that to go, David, on one hand, in the Bible, was a man after God's own heart. On the other hand,
That's that whole Bathsheba incident.
Yeah, that whole Bathsheba thing. Let's sweep it under the rug
Yeah,
and
right.
have my buddy murdered.
Yeah, right.
So that's not me.
Right.
Until he goes, that is me. I have that part. I can do that on a bad choice and a bad moments. And everyone's had bad moments. We've all had bad choices. To accept that as not feed that part of us, because that's just a facet of us, to say, I have those facets, I have those parts, I have this brokenness. I can feed that and go, I'm a loser, I'm deprived, I'm, shame. You
Yeah.
shame me, I'll shame me, we all shame me, right? Or be humble enough to say, I don't have to live that way, but I have to live with courage, and have to work to overcome those deficiencies and have the guts to try to do well or do better.
Right.
To try to make right choices. And so I have the capacity for good and I have the capacity for evil. We tend to think, in counseling we call it black and white thinking. All this or all that was way more gray. Not to just be muddy, but it's the truth. That every day I have to wake up and decide whether I'm going to be a good man or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Every
moment by moment.
Yeah, I say moment by moment.
Moment by moment, And when those times when I don't have the strength, for me, that's when I would look to the Lord and pray. Say, walk with me, help me. So the humility to not only have my friends keep me in check, but also my Creator, someone that I trust that says, you are purely for me all the time. In you is no deceit. In you is no guile. I'll trust your thoughts about me more than I trust my own. Because I can have my own suspicions of I'm a dirt weasel and I hate myself or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And to go, that's not who you really are.
Yeah. Adam had a sermon one time, and I think it was titled "Who God Says You Are," and the key point of it was, you are who God says you are. If you're a rebel, God says you're a rebel. If you're
Right.
if you're kind, God says you're kind. So whatever He says is what you are.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
It makes me think that what you were talking about. My dad one time said, if you lie to yourself, if you have a map and you lie to yourself where you are, you're never going to get to where you need to go.
Wow.
So it's like you have to start with the truth, and it's like, okay, I'm not good at this. I'm not kind to people or whatever. Okay, that means I'm over here on the map, but I want to be here. So now I have a trajectory to get there, because I
Yeah.
was pretending I was over here, and I'll never get to where the destination that I'd like to get to.
Right.
So that's where that humility and truth comes from, and which is not easy and not fun, but it's necessary.
Yeah, that's what I say. That humility, like your dad's a great example, great analogy of I am actually really here.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Not bigger, not smaller. I am right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the capacity to make choices to get me where I want to go.
Right. And accurately know what choices to make.
Right.
Right.
There's a great story. It's a children's book, and you got time for
Of course.
to
We have
digress
all the
to
time.
this?
We have all the time.
So it's I think it's Max Lucado, and it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
story of the Wemmicks, and they're the wooden people, and the wooden people live in a land they're made by the wood maker, the master wood craftsman. And all day long, the Wemmicks, they go around and they put dots on people that are bad. Like if your paint is chipped, or you got a splinter, or you can't jump high, or you can't sing well. So they go around putting dots on you. But if you're a beautiful wood person, they put stars on you. And all day long, they go around putting stars. And the story is the main character's Punchinello, and Punchinello's always getting dots because he trips, or he can't skip or whatever. So
Yeah.
he just stayed in his house because he's like, I got all these dots. And then people go, you got dots, so they come and put more dots on you, or they go, you got stars, so we'll come put more stars on you. And one day he saw this little girl skipping by, and her name was, I'll call her Lucy. I don't remember the exact name, and she didn't have any, and people come up and put dots because like, she don't have any stars, she must be bad, so they put a dot and it wouldn't stick. Or the people go, oh, she don't have any dots, so she must be good, so they put stars and it wouldn't stick. So one day he wandered out courageously and said, how come you don't have any dots or stickers? She goes, well, I just go to see the woods craftsman, Eli. He made me. If you go see him, you'll find out. So one day he got the courage and he goes up to the wood shop up on the hill, and there is this great big table, and he's small, and there's this chisel in the wood and all that, and all of a sudden he hears a voice behind him saying, oh, there you are. And so in the dialogue, he's scared, and then Eli gets him to say, hey, calm down, it's like, and then he says, well, how come the dots don't stick on Lucy? And he's like, well, because she doesn't care what other people think. She only cares what I think, and I made her. And so he's like, well, how did I get them not to stick on me? He says, you just come back and see me every day, and I'll tell you that I made you, and I'll remind you who made you and whose you are. And it says at that moment he believed him, and a dot fell off. And it's kind of that idea of going back to being centered, our identity, who we are,
Right.
is this idea that you can think about how we stick dots, and I put dots on people sometimes.
I put dots on myself.
Yeah, exactly. I need more.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or stars,
Yeah.
like, you're cool.
Right. Yeah.
And this cool chick that doesn't care what other people think, she
Right.
just goes and talks, to her maker every
Right.
day, and is reminded what he thinks of her.
Yeah.
And it's a cool little kid story, but man, it's so profound, really, in my life to go, I just got to keep it simple and remember those things. That what other people think of me doesn't have to stick good or bad.
Right.
Because
right.
I can give to persona of I'm a star.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Brad
Yeah.
Pitt got a lot of stars.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Wes Davis has a lot of dots.
Yeah, right.
Like you said, I'll stick more on me.
Yeah, right.
But it's interesting, isn't it? We do that. Like, you have some dots, you must be bad. You've been to prison, dude.
Yeah.
Dot.
Right,
You
right.
know? Or you're pretty, star.
Yeah.
But we don't know their insides.
Right.
We don't know how they feel, or if that's persona, or that's real person. So anyway, I digress a little bit into that, but it's kind of, to me, it's a kind of a cool story about like what your dad's saying of, you got to be honest with who you are.
Yeah.
And if our identity starts here, then we can get to here.
Right, right.
But people, when they miss this, you can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
And you miss that first start,
You've distorted reality.
You've
You're
distorted reality.
You're
Yeah.
operating from a distorted position in reality, which
Yeah.
is not good.
No.
It's
It's
you will.
a long lost journey.
Oh yes, and everything will be upside down. I mean, even if it's just skewed a little bit, it's kind of like a clock. If the clock is off a few minutes versus a few hours, which one's more dangerous? Like mostly a few minutes, because you don't feel like you're that off, but you really are. You can be at least.
Or like take your dad's knowledge on a map. If I'm going to, if I could somehow walk from here
Yeah.
to Hawaii
Yeah.
or get on a boat, I'm 1 degree off here. I'm going to end up in Russia.
Yeah. Well, that's what they talk about, small change. And if you make a
Yes.
small 0.100 or 0.01 point
Absolutely.
degree change over time and distance, it becomes, I guess it'd be exponential.
Yeah,
Almost
for sure.
exponential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one reason why, New Year's resolutions, I'm going to diet, I'm going to work out. And it's like, wait, this is so drastic that it's never going to work.
Yeah.
You got to just go to the gym one time, and that's a win. And then we'll do it again and again and again. Fast forward 6 months, look, you're a whole new person.
There's a great book called Atomic Habits.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about the 1 degree of change. And he literally talks about going to the gym for 2 minutes. So that's an incredible waste of time. Go for the gym in 2 minutes and keep doing it till you're ready for 3.
Right.
Or like the idea of do a push-up.
Yes.
Don't say, I'm going to do 50 push-ups every day and be strong. It's like, start with 1 and see how you do. Do it for a week.
Yeah.
And then do 2. Those little posits, little degrees of change.
Right.
You're starting to dial in like a combination locker, like just one notch off and it's stuck. You can't unlock those things.
Yeah.
But dial in a little bit. There we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson says, you're not aiming low enough.
Yeah.
If you,
exactly.
I mean, he goes to the example of clean your room. It's like, just start with your room.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to change the world, or just clean your room. Is your room in order? Is your bed made? Like, there's so much disorder in your personal life on the smallest level, like of where you lay your head to rest.
Yeah. Like the Navy SEAL guy says, make your bed. Stack up a few W's along the way.
Right.
And in the little things to feel good about yourself.
Right. Create that momentum, which is good.
Yeah.
Because then when you come across a challenging thing, it's like, you already have several wins, and you're going to be in a better position to take that thing on.
Right. We set ourselves up for failure.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes I think from a psychological view, we sabotage.
Yeah.
So that we can verify our own suspicions of, I need some more dots.
Oh, yes. Yes. I actually just watched a YouTube video yesterday about self-sabotage, and it took a Jungian perspective. And it was dealing with the shadow, and it kind of hit a little too close to home. The video, I was like,
where you say, shut up.
I know. I'm like,
swipe right.
Who is? Yeah. It was like, their example was this girl she wanted to live in the country and make an online business, and she wanted that to be the sole source of her income. And she could have signed like a contract that would have got a ton of new product, but she didn't do it. She found a house in the country that was like perfect for her, but she didn't buy it. She was self-sabotaging herself because, and this is what they argued, was that the shadow was stepping in to prevent this from happening because she was living in the city. And so she was having interactions with people. And really deep down what she was wanting, her true desire was connectedness with other people. And so the shadow was saying, if we accomplish this, we're going to lose our connection. And so rather have that belief, it was saying to alter the belief that if we do create this company and it's successful, we'll have more time, more resources to gather our friends and family and make business connections, and we'll have more connectedness than we do now. It's pretty interesting. It's hit pretty close to home as far as like the contradictoriness of wanting two separate things at the same time.
Yeah. Dr. John Ortberg calls that the shadow mission.
Yeah.
Shadow is a false identity of who we really are. It's the darker side. You can't grab it. It's ephemeral. But every time you move, it moves with you.
Right.
You can never, like Peter Pan, can't catch it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that false thing.
Yeah.
We have the shadow missions that's always inviting us to this, to not be true, authentic self.
Yes.
And so in the Christian view, you have to shine the light into the darkness, and that's what makes shadows go away. But like the shadow missions are the temptations to live this life that's not fulfilling and vibrant. The shadow mission for Moses was go hide in the desert.
Yeah.
The shadow mission for David
Isolate.
I'm a failure.
Yeah.
I can't ever be a king again or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
The shadow mission of Paul was to go kill all the Christians.
Yeah.
Those were not true missions
Yeah.
for what they were created for.
Right.
And we all had the temptation to follow a shadow mission, an unauthentic shadow of who we're really called to be, the possibilities of who we can be.
Right.
And kind of like he's talking about, we end up sabotaging those things that enliven us to go, that's really my heart. But so going back full circle, like humility and the capacity to listen, to take some time to have peace and center so you can hear what's your heart saying. What do I really want? What do I long for? What do we go back? What do I value? Do I value connectedness like this lady's talking about? Her true heart's telling her, she knows if you'll listen to it and get in touch with it and be aware of it, and sometimes just acknowledge that, you know. And counseling, we have what's called neural pathways. And it's kind of like habits, but we know now from the brain that we go down these pathways, and it's kind of like when a deer goes through the woods and it keeps going the same trail. After a while, there's this dusty trail, and it rains, and it, you know, first it starts out with grass, and it gets matted, then it gets dusty, and then after a while, there's this trail that, our brain does the same thing over and over. Cognitive behavior therapy says you start thinking a certain way, so we start to develop mindsets and habits and lifestyles off
Patterns.
of those patterns, mindsets. But we can actually create new pathways, new ways of thinking. Like, you can always tell people, there's a lady in our church called Eileen Duggars, she's the sweetest person on the planet, and I always tell people, plan for your life when you're going to be 85. You can either be a grumpy old person or Eileen Duggars.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And why? Because I've seen people that were rough and harsh in their younger years as parents and become the best grandparents. My dad was a rough farmer, hard on us, and now he's the best grandpa and best great grandpa. Is like, that's not my dad.
Right.
What'd you do with him?
Yeah, it kind of harkens back to the mandala. Like, that was always part of him.
A part of him.
Yeah.
But he softened and got humbled over time, and the humility of, that's not important. This is important. It's more important to love, be gracious and kind, than make sure it's all this way right now, how it should be.
Yeah.
You should know, kind of thing.
Which is a belief pattern, a belief system.
Pattern. Yeah. So those neural pathways. So the first step in counseling, behavior modification, cognitive behavior therapy says, challenge that thinking. Is that true?
Right.
Is it possible that there might be another option? Is that not true? And so you can stop the flow, if you will, of those patterns and thoughts and begin to create new neural pathways, new paths to walk down. Don't go down the same old path you've always been going.
Right.
But it's such a habit, such a mindset even. The Bible says to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Cognitive behavior therapy says think differently.
Yeah.
You know, and it can change you.
Right.
You know, your thinking can change your behaviors, and sometimes your behaviors can influence your thinking, all those different things, so back and forth. And so having the capacity to create new neural pathways is challenge the old thoughts, and the humility that says, I might be wrong.
Yeah, right.
My perceptions about you might be skewed. In this case, my wife or my friend or that coworker, or even of myself, what is true. And learning to take those negative thoughts captive and saying that's not true, and I'm not going to feed that monster, because what you feed grows, and what you don't.
Yeah.
And so we start feeding almost like that self-fulfilling prophecy, you know, of if I think I'm bad at math, I'm going to be bad at math, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, the one I hate the most is I'm bad with names.
Yeah.
Everybody says that. I'm like, yeah, because you say that you're bad with names. Like,
you're reinforcing that you're going down the same old path.
Exactly.
What if you said, I'm going to try to be better at
100%.
names?
Right.
Let's just start there. Let's just challenge that to go, what if you're not?
Right.
You know, what if you're stupid? I mean, that's another option.
Right. We won't go there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Wait. That was a dot. Sorry,
yeah. Right.
Dot for me, too, for saying that.
Yeah,
Because I'm a jerk.
Back to that human thing.
Yeah. Oh, daggone it.
Some people just beg for dots. It's like, dang.
Hello, world. Dot me.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. That's
So I don't know. I don't know why I got off on that, but That's kind of the neural pathways.
Oh yeah, that's what I totally lost what we're talking
yeah.
about.
And then we have confirmation bias because when I have my neural pathways about you,
Right.
then I seek out those behaviors, kind of like sabotaging.
Yeah.
Like you talk about the lady, we can sabotage our relationships by that same old pathway of, I'm going to look for, I think you're mean. Therefore, every time you do something, I'm going to view you through that skewed lens of you're mean.
Yeah.
And I'm going to create that perception that's who you really are.
Yeah.
You don't have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Duncan Trussell. I don't know if you know him, but
Yeah, I've heard the name.
he talks about the man that steps in dog poop and then thinks that the whole world is covered in dog poop. And it's like, no, you just stepped in it one time over here. And then as they walked around the world, so they see everybody as mean, like someone abused them at one point. It's like the whole world is going to abuse. It's like, no. It happened one time over here. Yeah. Maybe abuse isn't the best, example, but the dog poop thing just cracked me up. Like, you think the world's covered in dog poop. It's like, no, it's just over there,
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's a good example. And we get skewed, and confirmation bias is a huge problem we deal with.
Yeah.
And then people feel that way, like you're treating me like shit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
I'm safe, and I can create my own world with no dog poop.
Yeah. So how
would ever get out and step? That's why the humility, honest assessment, challenge our thoughts, and the courage.
Yeah.
To walk.
Right. Yeah.
Dog poop.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it just takes so much energy to revert that from playing out again and again. People, and a lot of people, I'm thinking of, just they're busy. They're just so busy that they can't sit down to think and like you said, to listen as far as what they need to do, what they need to stop doing.
Right.
Or, they can't even reflect on and find the patterns that are negative, which is huge.
You just said blasphemy, by the way.
Did I say that?
Yeah, stop doing.
Oh, yeah, right.
How dare you ask me to stop doing stuff, right?
Capitalism, baby.
My life is full and vibrant.
Yes.
Well, it's full.
Right. Is it vibrant?
It's full.
Right.
And by the way, I got to go in 2 minutes because it's really full, right?
Yeah,
kind of
right,
thing.
yeah.
It's like the busyness.
Yeah.
What is it? Who was it? I don't remember if it was Malcolm Muggeridge said, beware the barrenness of a busy life. And we're so busy. And sometimes hiding behind that busyness.
Yes.
That I ever be still and hear the truth of my thoughts.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're afraid of them.
Yeah. The story of Joan of Arc, when she would hear the voices and she went to the king and said, told him what the voices were saying. And he says, well, why don't they come to me? I'm the king, like, why are they coming to you? And she goes, you don't listen. You don't listen. You don't sit in the field at sundown and listen when they come to you. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that.
Yeah. They just follow the chain of command all the way down to me.
Right.
Which
is
I'm
very
the one
strange.
who's listening.
Yeah. That's Dr. Gabor Mate that talks about that. It's like sitting there and listening to, well, like you said, to your own, I guess it would be your own heart, I guess. There's so many loaded words. Yeah. There's so many loaded words in spirituality and psychology and stuff. I think a lot about energy. I use that word a lot. Yeah. And it's like, well, what the heck does that mean?
I get it. I'm tracking.
Yeah. I keep telling Kels, like, you can give your energy to good things or bad things, no matter what. Like, you can focus on this bad loop, or you can just be like, the birds are singing. Like, the energy always flows. I know I took a really hard turn, but the energy is always flowing. As long as you're alive, the energy is going. Your focus, your consciousness, your energy, whatever. It's just depending on what you want to give that to. Yeah. Which actually makes me think of the discipleship program that you and Adam did. The very first lesson is you don't live in a universe of your own or whatever, and you live in a relative universe. Yeah. And that time is not the most valuable thing that you have. It's the concern, or where you dedicate your time. Put your concerns. Yeah. Right.
And same thing, like Joan of Arc, she listened to not just her voice. Yeah. She listened to a voice that she believed was a bigger picture, a voice that is true and pure and good and lovely. Yeah. Versus if I listen to my own voice, and then I'm on my own God. I only direct myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the world centers where I am the universe, and you're all my satellites. You know?
Yeah.
Versus I'm the satellite.
Yeah.
The Lord is the center, and I will operate around Him.
Yeah.
And so I'll try to listen to Him, to what He's saying in the quietness of, and the, you know, the Wimmick story of,
Mm-hmm.
go see what Eli has to say about me. Left to myself, more dots.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes that's why people will be busy. I don't want to listen to my own thoughts.
Yep.
I get anxious. I get freaked out.
Yeah.
I get panic attack, whatever.
Yeah.
But being able to be, my word would be centered, to, you know, feel that energy, whether it's not chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
but to empty ourselves of that chaos and listen to the true, still truth,
Mm-hmm.
the voice of truth, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
that says, this is who you are, this is your identity, this is what I have to say to you. And to me, I believe that's always a loving, caring, compassionate voice, even in times where it's like, come on, Wes, don't
Right.
think that way.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Right.
Is that really true?
Yeah.
And then remember whose I am and my purpose,
You're right.
you know. So
I'm definitely guilty of the the busyness, especially with sound. Like I'm always playing music or a podcast or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Casey hit me with this quote. He's like, I don't know where it came from, but he's like, silence is the language of God. It's like, oh wow. So am I drowning that out? Of course I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I don't know if it's because people are afraid to hear what that is, or they're afraid to find out what it is, or there might be some difficult truths to uncover there. But as long as you're preoccupied with whatever, in the latest TV show or scrolling, and you can get to bed and get to sleep and then repeat, you don't have to dig down. You don't have to pull back the code of the simulation and see what's under there.
Yeah, and I think people are afraid they don't do God very well.
That they don't do God very well. Like they don't follow. They don't.
Yeah, like I'm
exist.
disappointing Him in some way.
You're not worthy.
If there is a God,
Yeah.
I don't get Him.
Yeah.
I don't really want to take the time to know, because I don't like some of the stuff that's going on, and it must be bad. And then we have, confirmation bias. See, bad people get away with murder. Evil happens in the world, and people are starving. Why doesn't God really care? What about you and God? Like, I don't want to know everything there is to know about me, because I have my own suspicions about how dark I really am.
Oh, right,
And then He's
yeah.
going to make me go be a missionary in Africa.
Yeah.
I don't really want to do that.
Right. Right.
But it's like, that's where we don't sometimes trust that God is good. He's really for me. People could really believe that He's really good. I don't get Him all. If I got everything there, Adam says this, if I got everything there was to know about God, I'd be God. But I'm not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And again, go back to the humility of, I don't know everything there is to know. I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying. And I'm trying to be humble to figure it out and listen.
Yeah.
And to confront my own suspicions, my own doubts, my own insecurities, and trust that there's still something there, that I'm not just all evil. I'm not just all pathetic.
Or have hope for change.
Yes.
For positive change.
Right. Yeah. And to use your word, that takes a lot of energy
It does.
to sit there and go, I'm going to expend a lot of energy to consider this stuff. Like, the king didn't go out there because it took a lot of energy. He's busy being king.
Yeah. Right.
And eating duck and cool stuff, or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But she's out there, eating bread and meditating and praying.
Right.
And it's hard.
So, go ahead, sir.
Going back to my point, she had to be completely humble and courageous at the same time to say, God spoke to me, king, and I'm a girl.
Yeah, right.
In this culture, right?
Yeah. I think they burned her at the stake eventually.
Exactly. That's talk about energy. It's like, this could have my head, but I'm going to say it anyway, and I'm going to live like it. That's that's a whole nother level. That's a shift
Yeah.
to say. I'm not just going to say it and go, there it is. Okay, I'm good. Message delivered. I'm cool. No, I'm going to live with passion. This is what I heard. And by golly, I'm going to go kick butt and take names.
Yeah.
Because this is what I believe to my core. That's humility, and that's courageous living. That's an honest assessment. It's not less than, like I'm a dirt weasel or anything like that. It's, this is who I am, and this is what I'm supposed to do. And move towards that with courage. You know, we're driven sometimes by workaholism and all these other accomplishments, but to move in a direction towards a calling versus running from something all the time, but moving towards something. We run from a lot of things, and sometimes the dots. Don't put a dot on me.
Yeah.
Or running away from shame, fear, the dog poop on the sidewalk, looking for it everywhere and moving. Or, nope, this is the direction. Talk about your dad's map analogy. Like, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, and I'm not going to look back and run from something so I get off the path.
Right.
I'm going to be focused to go in that direction. That's where I'm supposed to go.
Right. Different energy too.
Different energy.
One is away. One is being pulled, right, or towards,
Yeah,
rather
you're moving
than
towards something. Yeah.
away from something.
Yeah, and it's like the analogy of I can get you out of your house in two different ways, very quickly and slowly.
Yeah.
I can yell, "The house is on fire! You got to get out now!" You might jump out the window. You've moved really quickly, but you break your leg.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're moving away from the flames.
High cost.
High cost, yeah. Fast accomplishment, high cost. And damage more
Possible.
likely.
Right.
Yeah.
Plane that goes too fast, it's going to fall apart, The integrity is not going to hold up.
Right. Or I can say, hey, come outside with me and I'll give you $20. You're probably not going to jump out the window to get $20.
Right.
But if you're a 7-year-old, you might.
Yeah. Depends on your values.
Yeah. Depends on your values. Like, come outside with me and let's go for a walk or go get ice cream.
Right.
You may not jump out the window, but you'll move slower.
Right.
But you're moving towards a desired end.
Right.
Versus away from a non-desirable end. I don't want to get burned, so I got to run from hell. Spend my life running from hell and the flames, or moving towards this, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm invited to dine and to eat and sup and have sustenance and relationship with.
Yes. And that goes right back to what I was talking about, energy. Like, what do you want to give your energy to?
Yes.
You can give it to the hellfire, where it's like, avoid that, right? But you're giving it to that, or you can give it to where you're wanting to go, to the destination. I'm thinking of, when people say, I don't want to become my parents. What are you doing? You're focusing on what you don't want to become, rather than, acknowledge what you don't want to become, whatever, have that outline, but then be like, okay, my parents were, absent, let's say absent. So then I'm going to focus on being present, and then that's what you put your energy into. And like you said, what feeds grows. So rather than continually feeding, like, I can't be absent, I gotta be present, like, what, you're not present because you're in this loop of
you're so busy,
trying, reading all the parenting books and everything, rather than I'm being present. Big difference.
And kind of that I lost it, that idea of, like, I just want my house to be clean, so I'm going to be a jerk to you if you don't have the house clean. Why do you want the house to be clean? Because I like a pleasant environment. You're ruining the pleasant environment by being a jerk. To say, it makes me feel peace. Well, just go ahead and have peace with the messy house. That's true peace.
Wow.
Not being a jerk, but to say, what if I let that go? You destroy that which you're trying to create by the manner in which you demand it happens.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Like, we're going on this, like Chevy Chase and Wally World. By God, we're going to Wally World. Right? There it is. Okay, we did it.
Right.
And just totally botches it, ruins it. And that's what we do so often in relationships, of this quiet demand in our heart to say it must be this way. And by God, I'm going to make it this way, even if it kills you and me both.
Yeah, right. It happens a lot.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden we destroy that which we say we want.
Yeah. Wow.
By demanding the manner in which it comes forth.
Yeah. Whoa.
I'm sure Adam taught me that.
That is
I
what.
think so. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, one of you guys. Because I was going to say, one of you guys said this during a sermon when a baby was crying, and it was like supposed to be a quiet prayer, like focused totally on God. And this baby's just wailing. And it's either you or Adam. It's like, if we are distracted by a crying baby, like what happens when cancer shows up in one of our congregation, or what happens when a serious thing shows up, like the baby?
Yeah. If you're going to be distracted by that.
Really? Like, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah. We're a little uptight.
Yeah. Yeah. We're a little uptight. And it's like, maybe within that cry or whatever, or that moment, that's where God is speaking from, is through that. Like, God, show me the beauty and the wonder of the world. It's like life right there.
There you go.
Made, a tiny little baby. Like, that's it. You asked, I show, type of thing.
Neon light blinking. You had your eyes closed the whole time.
One of the best scenes in Bruce Almighty. God, give me a sign. And that truck pulls in front of him. It's got every stop sign on it. He's like, oh, this truck's in my way. Like, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Exactly. Yeah. We miss it.
So fun, because we have this preconceived, preconceived idea of what we want it to be or how we want it to be, rather than actually experiencing reality or experiencing the moment and saying, like your peace thing, like, if the house was clean, I could have peace. That's where you're operating from,
right?
Versus the secret to peace is just have peace. It's not supposed to be that simple,
right.
Which is the hero's journey almost. We got to go on this quest to find out that the Shire is where I've always wanted to be. I have to go to Mordor, pretty much hell, with the volcano and everything, and come back and say, this is it. This is the greatest ever.
It was the whole grandiose version of There's No Place Like Home for Dorothy.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
It's nothing new under the sun. It's just remade in a cooler way.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
And then in religion, we do it like this. Come to church and I'll have you a 7-point sermon on how to have peace.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And you're like, I don't have 5 of those, and halfway through you're going, I'm going to hell.
Yeah, right. Not a good feeling.
In my head now, you're going to hell.
Yeah, right. Is he going to talk about hell again? He is so funny.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you go, the steps to peace are not outlined in a 7-point sermon of all the ways I'm disappointing myself and God, apparently, because I don't have peace. You've just made me more anxious.
Yeah.
And then imagine we say to someone, I don't have peace. And it's like, well, it's okay not to have peace. You mean that's okay?
That's funny.
I'm not going to hell.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes you're just not going to have peace. What if that's okay? And the irony is that can bring peace. That can produce peace. I'm going back to your point, echoing that those preconceived notions of this is how it must be.
Right.
And then we go back to all the beautiful women on social media. I can't ever be that. I just give up. No, what if that's just not true? What if you're beautiful inside? What if you can foster those areas that are already good and whole and focus on the good aspects of who you are, not buy into what society says that way or whatever, And so sometimes church just dresses up those things and puts them in a different uniform. Puts a cross on them, and therefore it's valid to say 7 steps of how to have peace with God.
7?
Like, I can do 1.
Right, yeah.
Okay, here's how to have peace. It's okay not to.
Yeah, right.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
No dots for you today. You're not measuring up. God's not wringing his hands. He's not panicked about your life. Take a chill pill. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What if it's okay not to have peace right now? Then what? Well, we'll get to then what in a minute. But let's start there.
Moment by moment.
Yeah. You don't have to end there, but That's the starting point.
Yeah.
If we start here,
Yeah.
I love your
Exactly.
dad's illustration, by the way. I'm going to.
Oh, I think about it all the time.
I'm using it now.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. It's like one of those late nights. I probably had a football game the next day. And I'm like, Dad, I have got to go to bed.
Yeah, Dad, whatever. Okay, cool.
It's like that's when he got all the energy. I mean, I remember that. It always was the night before a game too. So a football game, but he's like, not making a choice, still making a choice. Good night. I'm like, oh my God. Now what do I do? Yeah. It was something about like going to college to play football or not. He's like trying to talk me up about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping that on me at 11 o'clock at night. Now I got to deal with that. Now it's stuck with me. But those are the good times.
Yeah.
Very wise sayings.
Yeah.
With listening and to the voice, and I know in the discipleship program, which I really like, and are you going to do that still?
I am. I just talked with Aaron about doing that at the church again.
Oh man, I haven't ever gotten to participate in one, but I sat in with Adam a few times.
Okay, cool.
And I didn't want to disturb their group because I was like spontaneously coming in and out, so I didn't ask questions and stuff. But I got to be in there, and then he recorded some too, and I've listened to them.
Oh, cool.
And Mom's talked to me about yours, so I would love to participate in your discipleship program. But I do remember. Well, there it goes. It just dropped out of my head. What were we talking about? Oh, the voice of God, and trying to distinguish between the inner voice, perhaps what you would call, what Jung maybe would call like personalities, different personalities, or even like ancestors. You've heard of like ancestors, like who's saying that?
Yeah.
That's my great aunt Ruth, who was a bitch, and she she hated life and she was abused, but she's still in there somehow, genetically, epigenetically, or whatever. Being able to distinguish all those. I don't have a great aunt Ruth, by the way. Yeah, right. So just as an example, but to distinguish all those voices and pull out the voice of God in the discipleship program, Adam asked, describe your mother's voice. I'm like, oh, I can't, but you know it when you hear it. So I remember that, but how do you distinguish between all those, or hear his voice? Because you hear it pretty clearly. So Zeus says. Zeustiac, not Zeus, the Greek god.
I like why you're talking to Zeus about me. Cool.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. No, Zeustiac talks about it, like how attuned that he admires your attunement to the Spirit. He said it on the podcast.
He's very gracious, and sometimes that's the truth of it. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes not, and not in a degrading or demeaning way. Just have to have an honest assessment. You have to be honest. Like sometimes I hear, sometimes I flat out ignore. I don't want to, And I think it's kind of like how you know your mom's voice. You're in relationship with her. You know her because she reared you and mothered you and tended to you. Like, I'll give you an example. We were in Southern California last Christmas at this big mall area that Mackenzie's church was doing. They were outside a huge church, and she was there, and I grabbed the kids, and me and Mikey were over here, and she was walking the wrong way. We told her to meet her here, but she thought down there. And I did my whistle. Yeah. And all of a sudden she stopped, and it's like I did it again, and she's like, I know that whistle anywhere. Right. Yeah. Right? Kind of thing. And because she's in relationship with me, there's no substitute for that. Kind of like go back to Joan of Arc, taking the time to listen and filter out all the other noises. Because, you can start with a small list. I have my own thoughts. I have my parents' thoughts, the damaged thoughts, my wife's thoughts. I hear Adam in my head all the time, which is a good thing, right? Right. Probably most of this is probably coded there somewhere from discipleship or Dr. Gary Wright or one of those influencers in my life. So people's voice that echo God, people's voice that sound a lot like his. Like sometimes you go, I'm going to quote Adam here, but there's a little bit of Adam's voice in your head. Yeah. Not just because, the tone and texture of his voice, like my very nasally tone. My kids know my nasal tone, but
Sure.
that's not my voice.
Oh,
My voice is that inner part of who my character is that they know. Does my kids, do they trust me?
right.
Do they recognize that voice as good and for them and about them?
Yeah.
And they even have thoughts of, you have thoughts of when you're playing football of, what would my dad think about that?
Right.
And you could hear his voice in your head,
Right.
even though it's not audible.
It's almost like you're talking about the writer, like you've heard, and singers too. Like I haven't found my voice yet, or I'm trying to find my voice. It's
right.
It's not the actual physical.
Right.
It's the essence or the spirit of.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the whole idea of inspiration. I'm inspired
Oh.
by that voice. It's not an audible voice, and so same way, yeah. The analogy holds true of you recognize your mom's voice,
Right.
but you also know your mom's heart,
Yeah.
and that's her loudest voice in your head.
It's the energy.
It's the
Yeah,
energy.
I'm going to use the word. I love that word. But yeah.
Touche. Yeah, right.
It's
Yeah,
the
it's the energy of their voice.
Yeah.
And so it's almost, remember the spoof years ago, the Christians had a WWJD, what would Jesus do? And then somebody made the spoof of, we want jelly donuts.
Oh my gosh.
I like that part.
Yeah, right.
But it's almost like, this is what my dad would think if I did that, or this is what my mom would think.
Mm-hmm.
This is what God would think. Or this is what Adam would say, like when I'm being too hard, like those powerful voices. There's more than just one voice, but all those powerful voices of, what would my buddy Aaron think if I said that or did that towards this other person? What would Adam say? How would he respond? Or how would Gary Wright respond to that person that's needing some compassion? I have lots of voices in my head, and my own voices or the own disgruntledness, and I'm going to go political for a second. Like people, when they say Donald Trump, there's lots of voices, or the Joe Biden, you have lots of voices. And so you have to filter those out. And so coming back to, how do you hear the voice? How do I know? It's a corny example of tuning in the radio dial and getting beyond all the static and getting to the station. The problem is we get to the station that we want to hear. Easy listening or rock, and I just want to drown out and turn it up.
Yeah.
But what am I supposed to dial into of what's the essence, what's the energy that's life-giving and nourishing?
Yeah.
And I recognize it's true. And sometimes we can't recognize that it's true because we haven't had practice. Neural pathway. We go back to neural pathway to go, what if I just start 1 degree of change of start listening? I'm not going to be perfect and go, thus saith the Lord, God spoke to me.
Right. Maybe not you,
We're
but
supposed to invade Russia.
whoa. We just went from 0 to 100. Maybe we should listen a little more.
I think I need less coffee.
Yeah,
Hear the
yeah.
voice better.
Wow, let's take 10.
I'm really jittery.
Right.
Let's nuke them.
Yeah.
Whatever. But no, start out somewhere, start out practicing, just like everything else. You remember the first time you went to jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. How'd it go?
It was awesome.
Yeah, you learned a lot.
Awesomely painful.
Yeah.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah. And even though it was challenging, you went back. And you're better at it than you were. But you're not as good as if you stay with it 5 years.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, listen to that voice of, what if I just try? I'm going to get the crap beat out of me for a little bit. And I'm going to hear all these voices go, I can't hear God. I can't hear that quiet, small voice. I wish he'd shout.
Yeah.
You can't listen louder. It's not real. I'd like to.
Yeah, right.
I can't even hear you half the time. I'm just deep.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. But the practice of it and the stick-to-itiveness, that's the humility to say, I'm going to get my ass kicked again, and I'm going to go anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And they go, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. I'm going to listen. I'm going to start filtering out the others. Like, I know that's me. I had bad pizza.
Yeah.
Filter that out. And you start learning to sift through it and get there like, I might go with that. I think I might have heard something. And I'm going to try the guts and courage to act on that, then see how it goes. Okay. And circumstances don't determine what you hear or not. Then you're just moved by your emotions, and every circumstance will, it's raining, therefore I must not go to work today. That's the Lord.
Right,
You
right,
know?
yeah.
But having the maturity and wherewithal to say, I'm going to listen, I'm going to be quiet, I'm going to try, I'm going to keep practicing. I'm going to get better as time goes. And I'm going to allow myself to do it imperfectly. Brene Brown has, I like her book called
love Brene Brown.
The Gifts of Imperfection. And we're so perfectionistic, like, I tried to hear God twice.
Yeah.
Right. I tried to that, I read the Bible once.
Yeah, right.
I didn't get nothing out of it.
Right, yeah.
Well, you brought you to the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's way more complex than just take a pill and call me in the morning. It's a relationship, like you hear your mom's voice, but you know her heart. And sometimes when people have, let's say it this way, let's talk about childhood trauma, when they hear their mom's voice, so to be clear for everyone out there that didn't have a great mom like yours, then they're like, I don't want to hear my mom's voice. That's horrible. I shudder,
Yeah, right.
And I start, it's that voice that is good and true and pure and has good energy, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah, right.
That some of that is, that's my mom's voice. That's not a good voice. Or like, you ever had your dad fall out of your mouth?
Yeah.
We go, I'm never going to say that to my kids, or whatever. Like, put it back in.
Yeah, right,
You
right,
just
right.
did that.
Yeah, yeah.
And to go, okay, I got to filter what's good and what's bad, what's not true and what's not real and what's not healthy, and learn to decipher, that's not healthy for me. I'm going to take that thought captive and push to the side and press through. So it's just not a simple answer, but it's a try, and it's a relationship. It's over and over building that friendship and that relationship where you learn to trust. Because you can hear a lot of voices, doesn't mean you trust them.
Yeah.
Trust is a huge factor. There's a great book by Stephen Covey now called The Speed of Trust. It's talking about in business how the reason we have so much red tape is we really don't trust people anymore. Because when you used to say, I swear that I will be there at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning and give you my 2 goats. You, by golly, better show up.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, you were there. And your name, the honor of your name is at stake. And we're like, I don't care. I'm going to sleep in.
Yeah. I think people struggle with that with themselves.
Yes.
I'm going to, like for me, I'm going to write every day. And then when I don't, I'm like, you suck.
Dot.
Dot. But it's like, I can't trust myself. Like, I overate again. Like, I thought we were changing. Like, I can't even trust myself, which is, if you can't trust yourself, then you can't respect yourself. And now we're caught in this loop, and we need to do some more listening and, get back into all of that.
Yeah. And because we don't trust ourselves, then we don't trust that I can really hear. I just
don't trust our capability.
Yeah. And then we all of a sudden say, I can't do this. And that's why people don't feel like they do God well, because, another thing for me to fail at.
Yeah.
Another thing for me to feel bad about, that I can't even stop, eating, the extra chips at night.
Right. If I can't do this right.
Yeah. How am I going to do spirituality where life and death are at stake?
Yeah. To quote our good friend Adam again, he said something about, for a finite creature to try to understand an infinite being, you will infinitely get it wrong, I guess, is what he was saying. But if God is infinite and we are finite, there's no possible way to ever get it all right.
Right.
But what you're saying is we should set the intent to attempt, at least attempt it.
Yeah.
Because
do it imperfectly and be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, because there is no perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. So there is no behavior or person or community that does God perfect or does anything perfect. LeBron James does not play basketball perfectly.
Right.
He does it imperfectly, but but good, or right? Or how would you say that?
Yeah.
He does it imperfectly, but I don't know, like maybe it's the striving for perfection that we like.
Yeah.
The adversity, because he does the basketball game imperfectly in the face of adversity, which is what we really admire. And maybe we catch a glimpse of perfection.
Yeah, he does it well.
Yeah.
And he does it well on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And then you could say, in that analogy, the holy man is the consistent man. Of keep trying.
Fall down
And-
7, stand up 8 type thing.
Yeah, and imagine if you only heard the Lord one time in your life and acted on it. Like the guy that carried Jesus' cross, Simeon. He's only known for one thing.
Want to know, baby?
Want to know.
You're batting 1,000. You're good.
Yeah. He's like, I'll carry that for a little bit. And that's
Yeah.
the only thing we know about him.
Right.
You know, or like talk about batting 1,000. We're going to give you millions of dollars if you can hit the ball 3 out of every 10 times. You're
Yeah.
going to fail 7 times.
Yeah.
But you're extremely successful at 30%. What other job can you do to get paid millions?
Not a surgeon. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot bat like that if you're a
No
surgeon.
one wants a doctor at 30%.
No, thank you.
Hey, would you do this plastic surgery? Well, I'm 33%.
Let's do it. What are we waiting for?
Let's go.
That's why I came to Mexico. That's a wild way to look at it, actually.
You know, and to go, what if we just try?
Yeah.
You can even make a living batting 250. That's a
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? And to go, so it's weird, the things that society accepts, you know, but if you can only throw a pass 55% of the time in the NFL, you're not very good. You need to be 65 or older or over to be very good. But you're still failing 35% of the time, and you're, you know,
Yeah.
you're John Elway again.
Yeah, right. It's the old Michael Jordan commercial.
Yeah.
You know, I've shot over 10,000 shots, or no, he said I've missed over 10,000 shots.
Yeah.
But I keep shooting. That's
Yeah.
why I win, because I
Yeah.
keep
shooting.
Yeah.
And imagine if we did that with trying to hear the Lord's voice or filter those voice. Just keep talking.
Yeah.
Just keep listening. That talking and listening would be what I'd call prayer. Just keep seeking. But we put God on a really short leash to say, I tried 3 times. I tried for a month.
I let the phone ring once. I'm like, didn't answer. Didn't answer. I called you, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't hear.
I've never done
I
that.
sat there for 10 minutes, 3 days in a row.
Right.
There is no God. That's it. I'm out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
To go, you know, Abraham wandered the desert, you know,
Right.
for 80 years. Never heard the voice of the Lord.
Right.
But then one day he's like, hello.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, look up. Stars. That's your descendants.
Yeah.
Who is this again?
Yeah. But but those 80 years, he was trying to connect.
Yeah.
And okay, so he was doing it imperfectly these 80 years and never gave up, and then finally.
Yeah, in my vernacular, it'd be he was trying to do the right thing. You know, it's interesting because in each picture of the Bible of these great saints, like Abraham, he believed God and he said, "You're my guy. That's righteous. You're the dude. That's a right act."
He believed what God said.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And was it an audible
That's all it takes
voice?
is. That's crazy.
Yeah, Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
Like he listened and God goes, "See the stars? That's going to be your descendants. The sand on the seashore, that's your children."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I believe you. You're my guy."
Wow.
But then not long later, he lied about his wife Sarah being his sister so that the king of Egypt wouldn't kill him.
Fair enough.
Capacity for good,
Yeah.
you're righteous. Capacity for evil, you're a liar.
So he shouldn't have lied?
No.
Oh, man, that's a tough one, though.
Yeah.
I'd lie. King of Pharaoh?
He did, and he did it not once, he did it twice. And both times, the crazy thing is, now this isn't a story in theology of God blesses those who tell little white lies to get away with it. Both times he got richer and richer because they had dreams. It's like, that chick you're about to sleep with, that's his wife. And he wakes up and is like, dude, what are you doing? I'm about to get to my neck cut.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
And he goes,
part.
all that wedding presents I gave you,
Yeah.
take them and take your wife and go. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
And he did it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, she's my sister. Well, technically, it's a little white lie because she is my sister because we're the same tribe, family of God, whatever you want to say. And then once again, it's like, no, don't marry her. It's like, take this money, take these camels, take this wealth, and go.
Talk about distorting reality.
Yeah.
Lies distort reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good.
Not good. And in the midst of that, the capacity for good, for evil in the same person, imperfection, and righteous, because God said you are. Now we get a lifetime to try to live into that.
Yeah.
I think as time went by, he did better.
Yeah. Which is good. That's the progression that you want.
Progression, yeah. But he was very imperfect, even though God says, you're my guy. Imagine, and not to preach really, but imagine if we could all go, God thinks I'm his person, and I'm going to do it imperfectly, but he still says I'm his.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of pressure off. That I don't have to live up to this unrealistic standard of myself and start putting dots and only, I need more stars to affirm my self-esteem, or whatever.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to seek it, and imagine if we could go, I'm really God's. I'm his guy. I'm his gal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to walk with him imperfectly. I don't have to because he is. I'm infinite.
Yeah.
Or I'm finite. He's infinite. I don't have to be him. I can strive to know him. And that's what I need to do. And that's what I'll try to listen. And I'm going to miss it. I'm not going to hear. And he's still going to be there. That's a humbling thing to me.
Yeah.
But it's also freeing.
Yeah.
There's freedom in that for me.
It's like the peace. How do you have peace? You have peace.
Yeah.
How do you listen? You just try.
Yeah.
You listen as best you can.
Yeah. And there's no shortcut from here to here, is there?
Right.
It's just, you got to go the path and walk your path, and your relationship. You'll know your mom's voice. Lord willing, that's not a long time from now, but 50 years from now. Chances are she won't be 100 and something.
Yeah. Right.
Right? But you'll still know her voice.
Sure.
Because you're just so familiar with it now. That's the cool part.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
Deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good,
it's
though.
interesting, though, those are, like you said, those are deep waters, but wow, if we could keep it that way with our life, we don't have to figure all this other stuff out.
Yeah.
We're running around trying to figure it all out, So it's an old story. One of my favorite stories is there's a man who traveled to the land of fools. Have you heard it? It's a man who traveled to the land of fools, and the fools were foolish, and so they're running around going, the monsters are growing, they're going to kill us. And so he walks over and sees that it's just watermelons growing. So he takes out a sword, slices it, and starts eating it. And then people go, he killed the monsters. He's going to kill us. So they rushed in and they killed him. Sometime later, another man traveled to the land of fools. And they're running around everywhere screaming, the monsters are growing again, the monsters are growing. And so he ran over and saw his watermelon. And rather than saying, stupid, foolish people, he ran with them. And then he goes, I think we can stop now. And little by little, they worked their way back and said, this is fruit.
Wow.
These are melons.
Yeah.
This is good for sustenance and trading and eating and things like that. Which one was the teacher? The man who goes in with all the right answers, or the man who ran with the people for a little while?
Interesting.
And to me, that's a good depiction of what Jesus did. I think I'll come and run with them for a while.
It's interesting.
I'll be hungry.
Yeah.
I'll be tired.
Yeah.
I'll get slapped around. I'm going to the bathroom like they do.
Yeah.
I'm going to run with them for a while.
Huh.
And then I'm going to teach them how to move back to that which can be life-giving and sustenance.
That's good.
That's the land of fools.
Yeah.
And we're the fools.
I guess if you're not Jesus, you'd have to be really careful not to become a fool, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to run with these
Yes.
fools,
Mhm.
but not to be consumed by
Yes.
their energy, I guess.
Yeah, and I would say the idea to me is don't come in arrogantly. You have all the answers because you know.
Yeah.
And you're smarter than everybody.
Right.
And
My
I'm gonna
chakras
go
are all lined up.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to show those fools.
Right.
To go, no. Paul says, we became all things to all men to win some. He even says, I became a fool for Christ. You think I'm foolish. And that's really, in some ways, what the world thinks of me or Christians. You're crazy, dude. You're believing in someone you can't see, and that's a fairy tale and fantasy and a ghost and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I may be a fool. We'll see.
Yeah.
I only have belief. I don't know things. I believe things. But that's where we all lie, as you either believe there was an amoeba, which where did it come from? There had to be a beginning somewhere, but there was no beginning for either a God, or what I would say our God, or a cell, or something to create matter and all this stuff, for either the Big Bang or God started the world with a bang. I don't care, all that. I don't care how old the world is or anything like that.
Right.
But there was a beginning somewhere that's beyond our comprehension. Like, where did the first cell come from? It just was. And it must have been a smart cell, like a smartphone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, some sort of intelligence.
Yes, some sort of intelligence that it was always.
Yeah.
Those are beyond our scope.
Right.
They're
very fun to think about,
Yeah.
but I think at the end of the day, like, what's it matter?
right.
It's I've heard people argue like vehemently for Noah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, if it happened, or if it didn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
what does that? I don't know. I don't care.
So the dinosaurs just didn't make the boat, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Is that
It's
it? Like,
eruptions everywhere, and they all got drowned. Okay.
guys, no.
Okay.
We need to focus on what actually
Yeah.
matters, what actually has some
Right.
weight to it.
Right.
Yeah.
How am I going to do today? Am I going to be nice to you, first of all, even you vehemently disagree with me?
Right.
Let's start there. And once I get that down, we'll move on to other deeper
Yeah,
issues. Because
right.
right now I'm just right here trying to figure me out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the conspiracy world.
Yeah.
People will just get caught in those
Yeah.
because it's something to think about, and it's almost like a mental Rubik's Cube.
Mm-hmm.
That you're almost got it solved. You almost have it, and it just never quite. You
Yeah.
got one square off.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
Who cares if that is true?
Or then when you can do it, you do it faster.
Oh yeah. Shoot. That's bad.
Right? It's like, okay, now at speed, who can do it the fastest?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Oh, you mean the algorithms online?
Yeah. Oh no. Don't do that. Yes. Those are very powerful.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I'm a minimalist in that way, I guess.
No, that's good. That's I would think that's probably the way to be in a world with infinite possibility. It's like you probably should be as minimalist as possible.
Yeah.
Be just like we talked about the woodworking. It goes very deep,
Yes.
and everything does. And so you don't have enough time nor energy to do all those things.
Yeah.
Adam had an allegory, I guess it was. It was like you start at one end of a mall, and you have a credit card with $100 on it, and the mall is closing in 5 minutes or whatever, but it takes you won't get to the other side. Hang on. If it closes in 5 minutes, you have $100 on this card. You have to spend the money, but every step you take, you lose money. And the mall is closing. And so if you don't make a choice at some point, you don't have any money to spend. So I was thinking like athletics. Like we cannot become UFC fighters at this point. We would die.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
We don't have enough money to spend on that. But if we were 12 and we started doing Taekwondo with Tommy, maybe we'd have a chance. And the longer you go, the less money you have. And guess what? The mall's closing.
Yeah.
And so his point was, and it was towards me of wondering what to do at that time. It's like, you got to choose, and then you got to choose fully because, and I had this thought the other day, is most of the choices that I've made in my life, I'll never know how they play out. Actually, I'll die, and other people can look back and like, oh, that worked out for him. Like, I will never know.
Right.
But I have to bet on these aspects of my life. I have to put my chips there. Yeah. And just live with faith, I guess it would be, or belief that I made the right choice. And in the end, I won't ever know.
Right. There's plethora of options that what do they say? You become a mile wide and an inch deep when you try to do everything.
Bonner said that to me once. You know? Yeah.
And they go, you can't do it all. You have to choose where you're going to live.
Right.
Who you're going to be. How you're going to be. You know, there are 5 major choices we make. Have you heard that? Who you marry.
Where you live.
What you do for a living. Yeah. How many kids you're going to have and what you believe. And you'll make most of those 5 choices in the worst time of your life, in your 20s.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
That's so funny.
Most of the time we make those 5 major choices, and then we spend the rest of our days managing those choices. Bizarre.
Good luck. Right?
I need another voice.
Yeah.
Outside of me.
Right.
Because I would really screw this up.
I was going to say, you need community at that point.
Yes.
Which is, like you said, friends and family and mentors to help establish your position within reality, to say, I don't know if that's such a good idea that you...
Yeah, my silly analogy of going, hey, I think I'm going to go invade Russia.
Oh, yeah.
And my friends would say, I love you.
Right.
Don't.
Right.
But if they don't love me, it's like, cool.
Right.
Go get him, Tiger. Here's a gun, you know?
Yeah. Well, if they have, alternative motives. Like, oh, I have a huge stake in Lockheed Martin. I think invading Russia is a great idea.
I'll get rich off of your death.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Rather than, being for the person.
Yes.
I'm for you. So what stance do I take in this position?
That comes back to full circle of, is God good? Is he for me? If I don't believe he's for me or he's good, then I believe he'd send me with ulterior motives. That's the problem. And to be in a community that you can trust, and that only comes through relationship, right?
Right. Being vulnerable
and honest, and humble. To say, if Tommy says, "Dude, don't do that," and you go, "Tommy, you're not smart. I'm smart. I'm going to go do this."
Right.
And then you run off and jump off the cliff. It's like, if I don't love you, I won't say anything.
That's the indifference.
Yes.
It's not love or hate or like or dislike. It's indifferent is. Yeah. That's
but
dark.
But if I love you, I'll say, dude, you're going to run off a cliff.
Yeah.
Don't. I love you. Listen. If you don't listen to me, let's grab 5 more people.
Right. Let's confirm this.
Let's confirm this.
Yes.
That's the value of community.
Yes.
To say, we want to speak into your life. And if other people can speak into your life, then you have a chance to have, good perception.
Yeah.
Because we all can see our life from here.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
What I see, peachy blob of flesh.
Yeah.
But I get perspective with holding my hands to there's some lines and there's some fingers, and I see more clearly. Sometimes we're in relationships where we're too close to the problem, as they say.
Right.
And sometimes my job is to go, hey, how about this angle? And that's what you do when you see into my life. To go, hey, from here, I'm seeing this.
Right.
Why don't you trust me? Trust my perception, trust my view of it, versus just relying on your own.
Right. The danger of isolation.
The danger of isolation, and then your own voice and your own God of, even if I can do it in a calm way.
Yeah, right.
And centered in a way that all I got is this view.
Right.
Then my scope and perception isn't very clear. It's skewed at best.
It turns into the microphone feedback.
Yes.
The eternal wow wow wow. That's
a great
that's hell
analogy,
right there. No, that makes me think of one of Nick's lessons that he taught. He brought Jacob Fry up on stage, grabbed his shirt and put his face in his shirt, And he's like, I can't see. I can see. He had a Chiefs shirt on. He's like, all I see is red. I have no idea what this is, what I'm looking at. And then pushed him away and went into the congregation of the kids and was like, oh, that's Jacob. He's wearing a Chiefs shirt, just like you said with your hand.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the best lessons that he taught. Still remember that.
That's cool. Yeah.
Taking a step back.
Yeah.
You know, and people use that vocabulary too. You know, let's get some distance on this. Let's take a different angle on this situation or this event. You know,
Sure.
which is arguably kind of what psychedelics and that sort of stuff gives people. You know, it gives an alternative angle on things. At least that's what I've experienced with some of that stuff.
And that angle is like broader in scope or just different angle?
Both really. Yeah, it definitely can be both. It can be, you know, you're too close to this, you're too emotional, and then you say, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm upset because of, you know, this person saying this. Like, what's going on here? Or it could be a more broad scope of seeing all the different things coming into play at once, you know. At least that's what I've experienced, you know, and Casey as well, when he went on his trip to, and took ayahuasca in Colorado.
Oh, did you?
Did you follow that?
I followed it. A couple of it was where he kept getting stopped by a different
cops.
Cop, yeah. Going, hey, you're not supposed to be hitchhiking. Like,
right.
Over there in the, you know.
Yeah.
And wait, they drop him off, then he go back. And
Yes. He's like, he would text me. He's like, I'm in the back of a cop car. I'm like, oh, geez. He's like, I'll let you know, if you need to come get me. But he made it. But his goal was his destination was a ayahuasca church in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
And,
how long did it take him to get there?
2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. And he walked that whole time. Yeah.
Wow.
He walked around and he was doing what's called dieta, which is if you do ayahuasca, you have to have a certain diet. You can't have meat. You can't have like extra salt. You can't do any sexual thing. You can't, no alcohol, nothing. Like it's very almost vegetarian based.
Is that what,
Aaron Rodgers.
does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of that, but I didn't know. I knew that's what he was doing.
Right. Yeah. Well, they went down to Peru.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of like the source.
Is a longer walk.
It's a way longer walk. But don't tempt him because he probably would try it. Casey's the kind of guy that would do that.
I'm not sure Aaron. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't judge. I shouldn't put it on him. I'm not sure he abstains sexually. I'm not sure about that.
Oh, but you don't have to do it. You have to do it for Aaron 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you should hear the horror stories of people that not good. People that cheat on their diet or they do something like they masturbate or something. Oh, it's not good. Like they have hell trips.
Know.
Well,
what'd you do, cowboy?
Yeah, exactly. Because I wanted to talk.
Out.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because I made a connection once. Charles Kraft. Are you familiar with Charles Kraft?
Yeah.
Okay, so he came and gave a seminar at Faith Worship. And at the same time, I was in a psych class. I think it might have been like developmental psych or something, something science, psychology based. And I was listening to Rogan about these psychedelic trips and everything. And I'm like, I'm connecting these dots. I'm like, they're all doing the same thing. Kraft showed a video of a girl who was possessed. And I don't know why I did that, but she had inner children. She seemed possessed. She had like 3 or 4 inner children, and it was him bringing them out. So like one was like a 4-year-old, and you could like physically see her change, and she starts to cry, and he's like, well, what's wrong? Like, one of them was like, mom's not listening to me. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like I'm getting sexually abused or anything. It was just, I'm not being listened to. I'm being ignored. And he kind of took care of that and then integrated that inner child. And then like the 14-year-old I think she might've been sexually abused at that age. So that was much deeper and much more of a difficult time. And then there were some like demon type personalities in there. But anyway, what is going on with all of that where there's like some sort of crossover with all those, One's a tool. Kraft is using Christianity and Jesus, like that's his angle. One is science-based, she has multiple personalities, right? And then one, the psychedelic thing / indigenous angle or whatever. It's almost like a reflection of Christianity, but with different tools, like a different sacrament. But they're all addressing the similar issues. I mean, what's happening there?
Well, I wouldn't claim to be an expert on all those different type of things. I would say I'll start really broad and come more general.
Yeah.
So like going back to my neural pathways. So part of the developing new ways of thinking on a scientific level, we know scientifically that the brain has pathways. And we know that if you think positive thoughts, your prefrontal cortex is larger. So like,
Oh, really?
the Hindu monks that meditate
Yes.
and positive think and things like that,
Yeah.
they have larger, they've done studies that show their prefrontal cortex is larger. So
Wow.
they fed that. So your brain, in that essence, even though it's an organ, almost like a muscle, that, no, it's not going to get bigger than our cranium, but it's developing, let's say, like when you run, you develop a healthier heart,
Right.
right? And so when you develop healthy neural pathways, so science knows that you can stop bad pathways, bad ways of thinking,
Right.
and be changed in your mindset by new ways of thinking. That's a science approach. Christianity would say be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Sure.
Renew over,
Yeah.
take your negative thoughts captive. Like Paul says, I take my thoughts captive and surrender them to Christ, and then think on whatsoever things are true, pure, holy, good, righteous, excellent, praiseworthy. So it's science would say develop new neural pathways, take negative thoughts captive, and think positive thoughts. Christianity says it the same way. So they're not incongruent, they're in tandem.
Yeah.
And so then when we go to like Kraft and the whole, what he calls demonized,
Yeah.
that he would say there's this spiritual realm
Yeah.
here that usually when someone is demonized, someone has either like sexually abused this girl in the name of Satan, or there's some satanic, like when you go out and stay on the beach all day and it's 90 degrees, you're going to come in and you're going to be changed.
Yeah. Right.
Especially a white pasty guy like
Yeah,
me, right?
right.
You're going to come in and your body's pigmentation will be dyed.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You'll be so
Crispy.
exposure to that
Yeah.
physiologically transforms you. Science. Emotionally, I'm lying in bed crying because I'm burnt and I can't go out tonight or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So psychologically.
Yes.
And then spiritually, though, if I go and somehow, if I expose myself to those bad things, or someone else against my will, like someone who rapes someone,
Yeah.
they're not in a good place spiritually. Let's say it in a really broad way.
Sure.
Then they've introduced, if you want to say, like we say, we fight our demons. He would say, Kraft would say, they've been demonized. This girl's been sexually molested. That's of the devil. That's evil.
That's of evil. Yeah.
Yeah, and evil has permeated her life in a way that she now psychologically scarred, as anyone would be. And I want to handle that. I don't want to. I talk about it casually, but I don't want anyone to think it's casual. In a way to truncate it and say we just have to be matter of fact. So, a 40-year-old man rapes a 12-year-old girl. She's scarred emotionally, scientifically, and not only emotionally but also, Kraft would say spiritually.
Right.
And so, in order to deal with that, so he would use his capacity as a doctor of psychology to say, I'm going to use science and know how to integrate these persons, but I'm also going to use his. Some people don't have that belief that there's demons or God or anything, so they would just stick to science, and that can work. Sometimes, though, if they're literally multiple personalities that can come from bad parenting, evil, or it can come from being demonized, spiritual forces at play in that way. So he's using science and religion. And then when you're talking with the psychedelic, that, like you said, that could be another angle, which I don't know anything about that way, so I don't know how to, but that would be just another take where now I'll go back to there's a chemical. So, for example, we know that the chemical cortisol is what they call the stress hormone, right? That it can cause you physically, scientifically, to gain weight,
To age.
be depressed, all that, because now you're so much cortisol from stress
Right.
is changing you scientifically, physiologically, emotionally.
Right.
It's burdening you down because you're older than you should be,
Yeah.
and you're depressed and all that. And then spiritually, you may have lost hope, and in your spirit, let's just say it that way, your spirit is deprived of life-giving things. So what do we know physically? You can go exercise and burn some cortisol.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You can think right.
Yeah.
And when we develop new patterns or new neural pathways, now we're introducing other, let's call it juices
Okay.
in our brain,
Yeah.
like better endorphins,
Yeah.
you know, like dopamine, I'm relaxed, serotonin, all those things that chemically, like if someone to come up and kiss you on the back of the neck, you get goosebumps. That's a chemical response, a physiological response. So as we think, like if you think somebody's breaking in your house, the adrenaline is going to start to flow, right? Because adrenaline is made to help us be quicker, be stronger,
More focused.
more focused. That's the way we have, science would say we've evolved.
Sure.
That we've developed those capacities over time to survive.
Yeah. Bear
Survive.
walks in the cave.
You're gonna-
Adrenaline's going up.
Bear walks in the cave, grab my spear. And
Yeah.
that-
Here we go.
Yeah. Right. You better be quick. You
Yeah.
better, if you're going, yeah, bear.
Yeah. Right. We'll get to that in the morning.
Yeah. You're
There
done.
ain't no morning.
Right. There was no morning for you, right? And so, in the same way, though, that when a bear comes in, the adrenaline pumping, you can release some of those things. When adrenaline's too much, then you have heart issues because your heart's pumping all the time, right?
Right.
And so, you have the scientific aspect of you're just releasing chemicals in your body. The psychedelic part is now you're releasing chemicals into your body that may enhance those other things or be good juices to enhance those parts, so that can come into play, kind of a scientific or in a spiritual way to say, like we talked about, 7 steps to have peace. You've just dumped a bunch of cortisol inside my brain.
Yeah. Right.
'Cause now I'm really stressed.
We are
and
further from peace.
Right,
Than
and I
where we
want to
started.
leave church. Or to say, what if it's okay not to have peace, and all of a sudden, dopamine is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And so when Jesus, I think, so this is a long way around the barn to say, Jesus says, and rivers of living water will flow from you. It's almost to me somehow where when we can think right and believe right, nourishing juices, the bad juices, let's say it that way, can dissipate. Those get, so like when we give medicine for those things, some of them are blockers, some of them are enhancers.
Sure.
That well needs to be blocked so there's not so much going in, or it needs to be opened up a little bit so you can have more, depending on what it is.
Yeah. Sure.
So we could do that sometimes chemically. In that case, like psychedelics, it can be a chemical, a natural chemical. It can be cognitive behavior, like I want to think right, develop neural pathways so that more good juices can flow down this wider river than this trickle effect.
Sure.
Or even spiritually, to go, I'm going to discipline myself to think what's true. What do I know to be true? God is good.
Yeah.
God is for me.
Right.
I'm alive. That baby crying is your answer. There's life and good. And when we can view it that way, in each category, all those things can really help. And some of it natural, like I'm going to give you this medication that we developed over time through science and very smart people, or sometimes the new, what would you call it? Holistic way.
Sure. Yeah.
And some of it's spiritual. So Kraft would say that he would say the idea to get rid of rats is you take the garbage out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I heard him say that before.
Yeah. So the rats don't have anything to eat. As long as you have garbage there, they're going to keep coming back. So rather than have this big spiritual throwdown with you and Satan and then blah, 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 it's like, how about we start getting rid of some of that garbage.
Sure.
So there's not this dramatic showdown at the OK Corral.
Right.
How about we just clean the house?
Garbage being trauma,
Garbage
big
being,
T,
yeah.
little T type stuff.
Yeah, and the thoughts,
The thoughts.
the patterns, the
Right.
beliefs,
Yeah.
all that garbage
Yeah.
that we think, the dots, sometimes the stars and sometimes the dots, right?
Yeah.
To go, let's focus on that, at what makes you think that way. Now he's doing cognitive behavioral therapy to kind of get rid of the demonization.
Sure.
And then to go, hey, let's take care of this, like, because there is this spiritual aspect to it, that you've been subject to that, not by your own will. Sometimes by their own will, messing around with bad stuff will get you sunburned.
Yeah, right.
You expose,
Adam
right?
talks about playing with uranium.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel it until it's too late.
You look in the mirror and you have green hair.
Yeah, we don't
right?
play with that, Like, that's very powerful.
Right. And that's the idea. Science doesn't, it's not that it's not real, it's forbidden. It's not wise to play with uranium. It's not wise to play in those dark spiritual realms. So in a spiritual way, those things are phenomena. And in a cognitive or scientific way, there are phenomena that we can control and we can do to help us integrate the two.
Yeah.
And so I think there's many, you can get to anywhere from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's not necessarily one path to healing in that way.
Right.
Sometimes it's come and be healed. Boom, you're different, but more rare.
Sure.
And, I remember this old trucker, remember Lefty?
Yeah.
He was he was the guy that would come get you from the ditch. He drove the wrecker service for years.
I forgot they had that.
And he was in the Marines, drove a tank at Normandy and got blown up.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, crazy story. Always had a piece of shrapnel on his back.
Whoa.
It's a phenomenal story.
Wow.
But literally, he didn't cuss like a sailor. He cussed like a Marine. And he said, when I gave my life to God, I had to learn a whole new language.
Yeah, right.
And so he said, but I didn't know how to put a sentence together without 14 cuss words in it.
Yeah, right.
And he said, the day I gave my life to God, I never cussed again.
Wow.
That's not been my story.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Good for you, Lefty.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's
Whatever,
hilarious.
dude. I enjoy it too much sometimes, I guess.
Teach me your secrets.
Yeah. Share to yourself, bucko.
As SpongeBob says, they're sentence enhancers. You remember that episode? So good.
Oh my gosh, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so same thing. It's like not everybody's experience, it's not a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Not everyone's experience is going to be the same.
Yeah.
And
I've heard that from Graham Hancock talks about that. One of he's probably Egyptologist, author, thinker, I guess. He's been on Rogan a couple times, but he's talking to a shaman and he's like, what's wrong with the West? And the shaman's like, you guys have cut your connection to spirit. And that's kind of what I hear you saying, as far as you can be all in on science and say, give them the cancer medication or whatever. It's like, it might not be that only. We might have to take a multi-dimensional approach, which is probably the best, back to being balanced in your life and in your efforts with taking the trash out. Might take this route or this route or this route,
right,
or all three, or one,
Yeah. It was like the study where the study of holding baby monkeys.
Oh, and the wire mom?
Yeah. They learned to go, we're going to start holding these babies that don't have parents in hospitals.
Right.
And the ones that they held thrived. And the ones that didn't get held, like in orphanages and things like that, they die.
Yeah.
And so, is that science or spirit? There's the question that sometimes are deeper waters than we can comprehend, but to go, it's not magic, but something, let's say it in a loose way, something magical happens when flesh touches flesh and a real human holds another human, a small, innocent human that cannot fend for themselves. There's something, you can take the scientific approach because skin touches skin and causes these things.
Yes, and.
Yes, and it's what's the Jim Collins in his book Good to Great, the book for businessman,
Sure.
the Bible of the businessman is
Yeah.
like, he says, the power of the and. It's not A or B. It's both A and B.
Right.
We buy that in business, but we don't buy it with spirit and psychology sometimes. Like, I'm going to make a really good pair of jeans, but it's going to cost me this much. So I either can provide a great product or a cheap price. I can't do both, so these jeans are going to be very, very expensive because you've fallen to the power of A or B, the power of war.
Yeah.
But good businesses, what Collins' argument is, business that go from good to great, you learn the power of the and. Will make a great pair of jeans at a great price. And to me, it's kind of like that we'll blend psychology and the human condition and spirituality, and they don't have to be at war.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily, one doesn't necessarily explain the other, but they're not necessarily in conflict. But if we make them, if we want to,
We can make them in conflict.
we want to
Sure.
build that. Again, we go back to confirmation
Put
bias.
them in some categories.
Again,
Line them up to fight.
Come a full
Like our
circle.
toys,
Yeah. To go, it's either this or this.
Yeah.
And there are schools of thought to go, psychology is a bunch of crap, and religion's a bunch of crap, and blah, blah, blah. All this is like, what if it's this is congruent with this?
Yeah.
And for my view is to say, this is sacred. This is sacred.
Yeah.
Because truth, what if God said, I'm going to let you develop a drug for that. I'm going to give you if we're made in the image of God and he's smart, I'm going to let you be smart. And you're going to figure things out. We figured out how to procreate so we can create life like God did.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you make a drug.
Yeah.
And drugs are good.
Yeah.
But they can also kill. Morphine's a really good thing. But if you abuse it, it'll kill you. And so there's human choice then.
And relationship too.
Yes, and to go, God isn't going to limit us in that way. He's not going to all of a sudden make us like puppets on a string to go, I'm going to let you make morphine.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make it not kill anybody. If you
I'm not going to nerf the world.
I'm not going to all of a sudden, I'm not going to, if you decide to jump off a 10-story building, I'm not all of a sudden, gravity isn't real anymore because I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To go, no, I'm setting things in motion and you're going to work within these parameters. I may run with you for a while, but I'm not going to all of a sudden intervene and jump in, and I'm not going to be preventive all the time.
Right.
And there's that wisdom that you have to trust me that I'm good and I know better and I see clearer. I'm infinite.
Yeah.
And I can't see all those things. I'm never going to figure out some of those things. Why did Hitler get to live and exist? Why did that happen?
Sure.
There's no good answer for that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to trust there's a bigger plan, that he has a will, has a human capacity. And just like God's not, if you're going to say, I'm going to get in my car and drive home tonight, God's not necessarily going to go, no, you cannot, you're froze. Like,
Yeah.
what do I do?
That's a glitch in the Matrix.
The glitch in the
What's
Matrix.
going on?
Yeah. Right? And he won't do it on a necessarily a small scale, but we demand that he do it on a larger scale, or he's not real, or he's not good.
Oh, right. Yeah. This better be the winning lottery ticket, or you're not real.
Yeah, you don't love me.
I've never tried that before, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm speaking about. On that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. My friend told me he did
I
that.
heard it from a friend.
Yeah.
I heard it from a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Didn't work out. But, yeah.
I'm calling for a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's I
don't know.
Adam, one of the times we were talking, he was talking about how much bullshit's out there spiritually. Like he's just like, there's so much of it. And
no wonder people are confused.
It's very confusing. It's very confusing because you have so many religions and you have so many beliefs, and then you have so many people claiming this or that, and a lot of it, one that I've been thinking about lately. And it's interesting that you bring up like positive thoughts and whatnot, because I think of there's probably a name for it, like survivor bias or something. But Conor McGregor, they ask him like, well, how did you do all this? And he goes, I saw it in my head. That's terrible, Conor McGregor. Saw it in my head, and then it became reality. I'm sure you've heard that before. Manifestation. I'm gonna see it in my mind, and it's gonna become reality.
The power of positive thinking.
Right. Yeah. But it's like there's a truth to that, but maybe not. Maybe it's not the whole truth. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, positive thinking is good. It has benefit, great benefit, physically, spiritually, mentally, all those. But people take it to this level of I can manipulate reality with it, you know, almost on a delusional level.
Right.
And it's like, is that real? You know, do people? If I think about being Steven Spielberg, will it happen? What does Wes Davis say?
Well, Conor McGregor also had to put in an awful lot of work.
Sure. Yeah.
I envisioned it, and then I sat there and did nothing.
Yeah.
No. You worked.
Yeah.
And so the dream comes through much effort to say, okay, it's like your dad's analogy I'm using again. It's like, there's the vision. This is where I'm headed. Now I have a clear objective, and I'm going to head in that direction. But I'm going to have to take steps. I can't just sit here and go, all of a sudden I'm transformed to, I'm transported to here, like beam me up, Scotty, right? To go, no, it's the everyday step, the choice every day to get there, like losing weight. You can visualize, I'm going to be skinny again.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat donuts and be skinny again.
Yeah.
That's incongruent
That's
and inconsistent
fantasy.
with fantasy and reality and science and all that. So it's the starting point. The positive thinking is I'm not going to let negative thoughts control me. I'm not going to give way to those. What's true? What do I know to be true and good? And I'm going to fight off all that because I have a lot of negative. I put dots on myself, to go back to that language. So how do I control my thinking that, you know, she's going to be faithful. She's real. She says she loves me, and I know it. And anytime a thought says, no, she doesn't love you, it's, no, I can't give way to that. She loves me. And then I have a more loving relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that loving relationship doesn't just come from someone loving me back, like my mom loving me. No, she doesn't love me. Me loving her and me trusting that. And so to get from here to, I visualize it, like Michael Jordan does the same thing. It's like I visualized it, and then I worked, and I got cut from the varsity, you know, the junior varsity basketball team.
Right.
It's my sophomore year, and you didn't go, I didn't envision that.
Yeah, true.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to work my butt off.
Yeah.
I'm going to vision it. And I'm going to, this is what my goal looks like. I'm going to set my sights this direction. You know, that's kind of the idea of the classic, the windshield's bigger than the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to look out there like what's before me, and I'm going to keep heading in that direction. In farming, when you have a big open field like this, my dad would say, pick a point over there and move in that direction when you're plowing, so you plow straight.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And so pick a point out there to go towards. Golfing, same thing. Bowling, don't aim for the pins, aim for that little triangle right there.
Yeah.
Those of us who are not professional bowlers.
Right.
And I don't have a curve or anything. I do straight.
Yeah.
Don't push it like this way.
You got the bumpers up? Is that you? Can I get
the bumper guy?
Yeah, right. It's more fun that way.
Yeah. But it's like, just aim what's right in front of you and hit it straight. You know? And same thing then, that I think he's saying, I envisioned it and I kept moving towards it.
Yeah.
And I did the work and the energy and effort to do that, and I got there. And I could say that I'm going to be a great defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I can envision that all I want.
Yeah.
But you're looking at me going, you're delusional.
Yeah, right.
Because your genetics are not in favor of that.
Sure.
I'm not fast enough, and I'm definitely not big enough, and definitely not strong enough.
Yeah.
And so we're limited scientifically by certain things. We're limited by genetics. That's the science of it. I'm never going to be the defensive tackle. Never was I ever. The moment I was born, I never had that capacity. If I got big, I'd just be fat
Yeah, right.
and slower.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So there's some science in it.
Sure.
And there is some brain capacity that he has,
Yeah.
you know, and some wherewithal to be able to do what he's done, kind of thing.
Right.
So
Right.
that envisioning has to come with some reality.
Right.
And then beyond that, then throw in Joan of Arc. Then there's the other possibility of spirit that causes people to do amazing acts that we call miracles. But they're a miracle because it had to be from God, not on my own human capacity or Joan of Arc's wherewithal, her tenacious spirit or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
It's beyond that, you know. And so my belief is I count for both.
Yes.
The science of genetics, I'm not going to be... When I was younger and I played basketball in my backyard, I was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. At that time, he was Lou Alcindor.
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
realized I'm never going to be 7'2",
Yeah.
3/4.
Sure.
Never, ever. And I always wanted to be cool and do the giant sky hook.
Yeah.
I was going to be 5'10" on a good day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah. So altering that and adjusting that to my reality.
Yeah.
And envisioning, like you're talking about Adam saying, you got to pick, you got to choose. Some things life has chosen for me.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be 7'2"3/4.
Yeah.
Or a defensive tackle.
Sure.
But what can I do? What's within my scope? And then there's other things of, where was I reared? I would happen to be born in Kansas out on a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So chances are I'm not probably going to go be the mayor of London anytime soon. Now life starts limiting, but the good thing is now I'm not a mile wide and inch deep. I start narrowing the focus
Yeah.
and laser lock. And so part of his envisioning is the capacity to focus. Same thing with prayer. It's the capacity to listen and filter out all the other noise to get down to what is that one true thing, that one true voice that can lead me and direct me in that way. And so we feel like to be limited isn't freeing. You've limited me. Well, tell that to a fish you pull out of the water. So you're free.
Yeah. Wow.
Go ahead and breathe.
Yeah.
Enjoy your freedom. I
Yeah.
set you free from the water.
Yeah. Right.
No, you're confined to your capacity. You're a fish. You're going to swim.
Huh.
That's where you're going to thrive.
Right.
Not because I hate you. To hate you would be to pull you out of where you can thrive.
It's almost like the art. If you don't have limitations, some sort of limitations, then the art is endless.
Yeah.
And you can't ever. How do you even approach it? You know.
Yeah.
Even the canvas. You know, the canvas is limited.
Right.
If it was just an infinite canvas,
Right.
you would never get
That limitation gives you capacity and boundaries that helps direct you. And it's really life-giving to go, you know, you've been to some of these museums where the mural's the size of that wall. Some people are really good at that.
Yeah.
You know, Mona Lisa's like this big.
Yeah.
It's about the size of that computer screen.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot smaller than I thought.
Yeah. Right.
You know, but wow, that's amazing.
Right.
That someone could do that type of art with that. And yeah, just the limitation isn't lack of freedom. It could be life-giving, you know, and to limit myself to say, I must do everything. I cannot be the perfect dad, the perfect counselor, the perfect football coach, the perfect lawyer all at the same time. I must limit myself and become one and do it well.
Right.
And focus.
Right.
If I want to be the best dad in the world, then I'm going to quit my job.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right? Or I limit and say, I'm going to be a good dad.
Oh, right. Right.
And I'm going to be a good employee. I'm going to go to the factory and work and be a good dad and a good provider. And that means when I go to work, I can't parent my child all day long. So we limit.
Yes.
We have limitations, and we live and move and operate within those limitations. And when we can settle in to go, that can be freeing. Like peace, I can choose to go, that's okay. The gift of imperfection again.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
To go, but if I demand that I'm a perfect lawyer, I'll never see my children. I'm a perfect football coach.
Right.
And I can't be a perfect lawyer simultaneously.
Yeah. Right.
Because I'm giving my life to law and the study of law and winning in court, or I'm giving my life to football and doing that. And if I give my life to this, like the shopping mall, you can't go to every store.
No.
You got to pick one and give yourself to that fully
Right.
if you want to be the very best. And so all the athletes will talk about the sacrifices they've made to get where they're at, because they've all of a sudden narrowed it and like, I'm not going to play 15 sports.
Right.
I'm going to go play basketball and shoot 1,000 shots every day
Right.
and stay at the gym longer and get there before.
Right.
And that, my diet now is like, I don't eat jelly donuts.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to run.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I can, jump higher and run faster and all that.
Right. People say, I want to be Tiger Woods. Like, do you? Do you want to be Tiger Woods?
Yeah.
Do you want to putt for 9 hours a day or whatever he does?
Right.
I'm not a golfer.
Yeah, right.
But people, they see the outcome and it looks fabulous. It looks very desirable. But the underneath of all that, like the reality of it is, extremely demanding. Is not even, that's an understatement. It is.
Yeah, you've given your life to that.
Yeah, you've literally given your life energy to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you become really good at it, so you get accolades.
Right.
Then you have a personal life.
Yeah. Right.
Not to go there. But
Yeah.
Let's move on, folks.
Yeah.
Let's
Right.
see here.
Right. No, it's back to that human thing. It's like, it's not just us. It's everyone listening.
Yeah.
I love that though, about the manifestation, because about giving you a destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's instead of a map where you physically move, it's like a destination within reality. It's like, or with the mandala of the self, it's a place within yourself that you can work towards. Whether, if I want to be a great leader, it's like, well, what would a great leader do? He'd probably say something right now. So I'm going to say something,
Yeah, right.
And you start to do that over and over again. And suddenly you're like, whoa, how did I get here? Like, how did I become this? Like, you just did what you thought that person should do, or you envision, or you look up to someone. Like Adam's a good speaker. So it's like, what does he do?
How does he do that?
Yeah. How does he do that? Oh, he writes a lot and he reads a lot and he practices speaking. So if I do that, it's probably going to lead me to a similar destination.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love, that way you said that, manifesting the reality or the future reality, like what it could be.
And talk about cognitive behavioral therapy. You thought it, you manifest it in your actions.
Yeah.
Because if it's never manifested, it's a delusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be a great speaker.
Yeah.
But if you never speak, you're not a great speaker.
Right.
If you're not ever lead, you're not a great leader. It's not, Adam talks about his dad fishing. It's like, he's a great fisherman.
Yeah.
He just doesn't fish.
Yeah.
He's got the tools, the tackle box, the boat.
Wow. I've never heard him say that.
The rods and the reels and all that stuff. We've got all that stuff to be a great fisherman.
Doesn't fish.
There's the ocean.
Whoa.
Go fish.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
It's not a good place to live,
No.
because you realize that your inner and outer world, this is the integrity part of discipleship, is not lined up, and you know it. Like you're like cross-eyed, or like moving forward, something is not right.
Yeah.
And until you are aligned, I like that word. Until you align yourself to, edge out the delusion and introduce the reality, and like you said, set the intent and do it imperfectly. Then you're aligned.
That's the problem with church. Because we agree with the sermon. To agree with the sermon makes us feel like we did the sermon.
Interesting.
Go be kind to people this week. Okay, that's your assignment. We don't really give assignments at
Right.
church. We just challenge people to think that way. So like, okay, I want to be, Aaron did a sermon on generosity. Go be generous. Okay, I agree. I should be generous.
Yeah.
I feel like I did it.
Right.
It's like,
Cheap dopamine almost.
That is the cheap dopamine. And my goodness, there's so many analogies for that. But
yes, we live in it. It is our society.
Yeah. And then, but we haven't really acted on that. So you only have the cognition without the behavior. And so we really haven't transformed.
You only have half of the equation.
Yeah, and that, in the Christian perspective, repentance isn't just a decision, or I'm sorry I got caught, or I'm bad, I did wrong, or I lied, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's stop lying.
Right.
The behavior is stop being mean. The behavior would be, hey, I agree. Well, that's a great sermon. Go be generous.
And then not tip your waiter afterwards.
And not go, and be a really tightwad, frugal steward of the Lord's money.
Yeah, right.
Because she wasn't that great.
Right.
Well, she was up all night with her 3-year-old vomiting, worried that she has COVID. And a single mom, and she's exhausted from doing doubles.
Yeah, I just think I'm
You
just
don't
happy
know.
I'm not in her. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the waiter.
You don't know her story.
Right.
And then Christians show up agreeing with the sermon of generosity, but when it comes time to tip, it was like, no, she gets 11% because she wasn't that good. I believe in grace, just not for her.
Yeah.
And not at my lunch after I've been to church
Right.
agreeing with the sermon on generosity. Praise the Lord.
Right. Yeah. Praise
Sorry.
God. Praise God.
Sorry.
It makes me think of that. I think it's a story in the Bible about paying debts.
Yeah.
And the guy has like a huge debt to
Yeah.
the king, and he's like, "Nah, don't worry about it."
Right.
And
yeah.
then he goes down to his subordinate, and he's like, "You owe me $5
Yeah.
or something."
Right. I'm going to throw you. And it's like,
Yeah.
and the king finds out,
Right.
like, dude,
Right.
I was so generous to you and gracious and compassionate to you.
Yeah.
Now you get it, kicked out kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I think about God being like, I'm giving you 11% grace today because, you kind of tried, but not really. It's like, oh man, please don't do that.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
get the checkbook out, please.
Yeah. I want you to get caught when you speed around me.
Mm-hmm.
I want grace when I have to speed around you when I'm late.
And you see, you had a great sermon series on that, mercy versus justice.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, there has to be a balance.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a very I don't know, maybe it was God who needed to decide that. I can't quite remember, but
Yeah.
I remember the dichotomy
Yeah.
being the speeding. Like
Yeah.
when I'm speed,
Yeah.
you let me off. But
we all want justice until it comes to us.
right.
I loved when my brother got caught.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And you have a brother.
Yeah.
Remember, like if my brother is pounding on me, it's like, yeah, Dad's going to get you.
Right.
You
You are
got
so
caught.
screwed. Yeah.
But when I punched you in the middle of the back and ran,
Right.
I was like, hope Dad doesn't catch me.
Dad, please.
So we all want justice except for us.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine if we well, what if there isn't justice for me? I need grace. I need mercy. Please be merciful to me. What if we focus on us? And that, for me, learning the capacity of let's take a simple analogy of driving. Someone cuts you off. I don't know their story. Or they're on a hurry and they're driving 80 down 69. I'm driving 70. Like I'm way more holy than them, right?
Yeah,
because I'm a good driver and I'm safe.
Right.
I don't know their story. I don't know what's going on in the world. And I've driven 80. Or maybe a little bit faster sometimes. I've heard
Your
other
friend
people.
drove.
Yeah, I've heard other people. I've ridden with people that
Benny.
I've ridden.
He's the first one.
That's a
true story.
I've ridden let me say it this way. I've ridden in a vehicle that's gone faster than 80. That's it.
Oh, I see.
Right. And they go, but I don't. When I see a cop, I'm like, hope he doesn't stop me.
100%.
Right. Yeah. Even if I'm going 55, that knee-jerk reaction,
Right.
I let up the accelerator, and
yeah.
I bet cops are laughing all the time, like, dude, you're
Right.
going 55.
Yeah, right.
It's a school zone. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh my God. Not good.
Whoops, yeah. No, but when we, there's this weird justice gene in us to go, you're speeding, I hope you get caught.
It's a desire for order, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. Well, there's this innate desire for justice.
Yeah.
And so we like justice except when God executes it. And go, that's not fair. It's not fair God sends people to hell. I want to send him to hell in a laser when
Yeah.
you pass me and are a
Right.
jerk and you
Yeah.
flip me off.
Yeah.
I want to be God.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be God, and I don't want you to
Right.
have. So there's a sense of justice. There's a sense of right. There's a sense of good. That, let's say it this way, in a normal capacity, no one would say a 40-year-old man should get to have sex with a 3-year-old girl. Now we go back to limiting freedoms. But I'm free. I don't care if you identify as a 3-year-old boy. That ain't right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And not to mock that, but to say we have an innate sense of justice that normal human beings would go, that's not appropriate. So there's, to me, it goes back to that centeredness of who God is and how I'm made. Wisdom comes from somewhere. We know there's justice. We know there's certain things. I shouldn't take a baseball bat and break it over your kneecaps. If I'm free, if everyone's free, let's be free.
Yeah.
If there's no justice, let's just beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
Right?
That's kind of what's going on with this identity thing right now, right? I am she, they, him, her type stuff, the pronouns and what it's a
little bit, yeah.
taking off the limitation of identity, which ironically is dissolving our boundaries, and it's making it pretty difficult to operate within reality.
Yeah. It's almost like children need boundaries. They feel safe when there's rule and structure and order.
Right.
And when it's a free-for-all, they feel chaotic. And so we innately need order and structure. It's what makes us feel safe. That's why a wife may not, if she doesn't feel safe because her husband's drinking all the time or an alcoholic or whatever, she may love him, but she may not feel safe. It's kind of cause her to respond that way. And if he doesn't feel respected, if she's just a nagging on him and he can never measure up, then he doesn't feel cared for. And so we start breaking down those things. So then same thing, like if there's no limitation, then I can drive my car as fast as I want with no order. And I paid for all the road. I can drive on both sides or right down the middle, right?
See how that works out.
I've been to Haiti. They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
There are no lines,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And the funny thing in my world travels, when I come back here, I go, order, stop signs.
Right.
Everyone's going to stop.
Yeah.
And the big truck's not going to come up and nudge you out because they're bigger. And you're not going to drive down the middle of the Main Street, Joplin, honking your horn because all the pedestrians have to run to the side because there's no pedestrian law.
Yeah.
You'll literally be going 70 miles an hour through the middle of towns honking because you're big. And everybody better get out of the way.
Yeah.
But when you come back and go, we have white lines. You stay on your side.
Yeah.
I stay in my lane.
Right. Yeah.
And we agree on that. That's a social standard that we agreed on.
Right.
Cool. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And we like that order, except when it comes to me.
Yeah.
I don't want you, I want to speed, but I don't want you to speed. I want, to have my identity be whatever I want it to be, but I don't want you putting limitations on my identity. We're inconsistent. You must accept me, or otherwise you're narrow-minded. That's kind of a narrow view.
Yeah.
A little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They
And
go,
Adam said
I
something.
don't accept you because I love you.
Yeah.
What if
Intolerance
that's
of
like-
intolerance.
Yeah. Yeah, like I love my son, so I'm going to not accept that when he's 5, he can climb on the roof. Wouldn't be very loving if I accepted him in his feeble, unwise state. And when you turn 16, Josh, feel free to drive on wherever you want. Drive across the pasture. I don't give a care. Have fun because I love you. And everybody else better love you too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're bad.
Jordan Peterson calls it the Little Prince syndrome.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Little Prince syndrome. Wow. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Those are conflicting things for sure.
It's good to talk about them, though. It's good to
Yeah.
lay them out like STOA,
Yeah.
a place to discuss these ideas that might not ever get answered.
Yeah, and people don't have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
We can care for each other, even if we don't agree. Just respect, honor. Okay, cool. And that's the strong bearing with the failings of the week. If I think I'm got it right, then I should be gracious.
Yeah.
Be tolerant of your inconsistency.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own to deal with. I got to get me right,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of the heartbeat of it,
Yeah.
really.
Makes me think of golden rule. Treat others how you would like to be treated. So if they're speeding and you're like, this son of a, what if that was me?
Yeah.
And I was late to work. Like, go ahead, buddy, get to work.
Yeah.
If you can do that in the moment,
Yeah.
it'll be
Or
good.
how about I pray you're safe
Right.
versus hope a cop gets you.
Right. Well, there again, there's the energy. Which direction
Right.
do you want to give the energy?
Yeah.
You have a choice. You can either damn them, really. You're damning them to a cop, or God forbid, wishing a wreck. Like, I hope he, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you take a moment to bless them with positive, like good vibe energy. Like,
Yeah.
That's a choice that you always have in every moment.
About, let me see, about 5 years ago now, I got a new Ford truck. And the new Ford trucks in 2017 have really bright headlights. And mine set up higher because it's four-wheel drive. And driving down Clem Road, this narrow country road on my way home from church or wherever to Columbus, where I lived at the time, my stepson Jake was in there, and he was 12, 13, somewhere around in there. And people would flash me, or they'd come up and all of a sudden they'd bright me because they thought I had my brights on.
Right.
And Jake would get them back, right when they get there.
Yeah.
And I go, you know what? I used to think that way.
Yeah.
And I'm busy talking about energy. I'm
Yeah.
flashing them because they're flashing me.
Exactly.
I'm getting you.
What
and
are you
I'm
feeding?
Yeah, yeah. And I learned, they just think my headlights are on, and I can spend my energy going, I'm ready for the next one in case they
Yeah.
bright me,
Yeah.
and spend
Yeah.
all my thoughts there,
Right.
and not have a good conversation with my son,
100%.
or to go, let it go, live in a dirty house,
Yeah.
live with your lights. People brighting you, they don't know any better. That's the land of fools. They're just going to be foolish sometimes. I can spend my energy having the right answer. Gotcha. Whew, I feel good. I showed them.
I
and
am
they're cussing
validated.
me. I'm cussing them, and they're cussing me, and it's a beautiful world.
Oh my God.
What a
yeah.
wonderful world.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Or to let it go and him watch me, not having to spend the energy going, they just don't know. They're operating out of being, they think I have my brights on. It's the unfortunate thing of this company that made my truck makes them really bright.
Yeah. Right.
And so I can spend my energy doing that and living that way. And on the while, cortisol is being dumped in my brain and in my body. And I get home, and then I can't go to sleep. So I'll start drinking
Yeah.
a little wine for the stomach steak.
Yeah,
know,
right. Yeah, right.
Or whatever. And then it's
Sure.
like you just worked up. Then I eat chips to satisfy my cortisol cravings. The next thing I know, I've gained 20 pounds and I'm mad at the world.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. I just got done preaching.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. That's how we all want to live.
Yeah.
Or you let it go and find peace all the way home while people are freaking out going, they're brighting me.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
And just like the bad energy spiraled, and continued, the good energy spirals.
Yes.
So you have a good conversation with your son.
Yeah.
And then he gets influenced by that, and maybe he goes off to one of his friends and he's like, your truck's real tall or whatever. He can, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
That's the ripples in the pond type effect.
Yeah, maybe he's riding in the truck with him. Dude, you don't have to spend your energy doing that.
Right.
Well, if you chill and you and I talk and let it go.
Yeah.
And imagine if that could have the trickle effect of letting it go and the world became a nicer place.
Right.
And the strong beareth the failings of the weak.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Right.
I'm going to run with them rather than slice open the watermelon.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
or slice them open with gotcha.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then all we've done is promoted bitterness and hatred and strife
Right.
and a bunch of cortisol.
Yeah. And the world keeps on going.
And the world keeps
Yeah.
on going. And it's a bitter,
in the
harsher place.
Yes. Right. And that's the whole, tend your own garden. If everybody tended their own garden, if they started there on themselves
Yeah.
and chose the good energy, well, that's heaven, I guess.
Yes.
Like that's what it would turn into,
Yeah.
or be close to it.
Yeah. 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 Then you can love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Little phrase that's kind of important there.
Yeah. As you love yourself.
Yeah. That's not right. That's selfish. That's humanistic. No, it's a healthy, humble assessment. Cannot give away that which you do not possess. And if I don't have any love, I cannot give it to you. I can't give you $10 million. You know why?
Don't got it.
I don't got it.
Dang it. It's kind of counting on that, Wes.
Yeah, sorry. That's why you had me on.
Yeah.
Sorry, the donations are closed, folks.
Yeah.
I just heard about generosity in church, but I don't have it.
Right. Yeah.
I got $10, I think, in my wallet.
That'll work. That'll be fine.
$10 million, $10. Okay,
Yeah. Close
we'll settle
enough.
there.
Yeah. I'll invest it. Yeah. If you
Buy
don't
a lotto ticket.
And then
I
I'll
might have given you $10 million.
yeah, right. Possibility in some universe.
Yeah.
In one of these. Yeah. That's good stuff.
We can get to anywhere from anywhere.
Anywhere from anywhere. I love it. That's like a punk band name.
Yeah.
Anywhere from anywhere. Thank you, Chicago.
We'll be here all week.
Yeah, right.
Tonight.
Yeah. I love it. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But...
We're right at 3 hours.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. 5:54. So wrap it up. And you got STOA meeting to go to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin was very excited that you were going to be on. And because
cool.
he's the new, is he president?
He's the prez.
He came over to my house afterwards.
I sent him an email and told him to the prez and the first lady.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, the day of, he came to my house and he's like, pour me a drink. I'm like, what's wrong, dude? He's like, I'm the president of STOA. I'm like, what happened?
But then he tapped out and go, Colin, you got it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like-
It was like he sounded like it was like an audible, like straight over.
No one knew. Like, okay.
Yeah. Here
Be
we
ready.
go.
Be ready, brother.
Yeah.
He's done a great job, though.
Good.
Yeah, and it's an honor to be here. It's cool to
Yes.
talk to you. It's just fun to just hang out and talk.
I know. It's very fun. People really don't know what to expect. I'm like, it's going to be fun. I promise.
Yeah, that's
Things are
cool.
going to come up that we didn't anticipate.
I had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody kept asking, do you know what you're going to say? Go, I have no idea, and I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I don't want to be prepped. I don't want to just.
Yeah.
I just want to show up and be me, and
That's
you
the
be
best.
you, and
That's the best way.
Yeah.
I definitely did start to have conversations in my head with you several times, like, how are you going to start this? I'm like, shut up, go away. It'll be fine. Like, don't try to control it, just be there. And that's really the secret of conversation
For sure.
and this podcast.
Yeah. Mackenzie, I was talking to her, and she goes, do you know what you're going to say? I go, no. She goes, Dad, that's such your style. You just show up and be you.
Yeah.
I go, well, I hope it's the good me today.
Yeah, right. That's why I bought you coffee.
Yeah. That always helps.
But, I mean, that's what people...
Synthetic sleep is always good.
Synthetic sleep. Yeah, synthetic focus. Yeah, it's existing kind of in that yin-yang type of the balanced, a little bit of... I'm not going to ask you about... something that you don't know about, I'm not, maybe I will if I was interested, but I'm mostly going to gear it towards what you're good at, I'm not going to,
That's your kindness and your compassion for me. Thank you.
Yes. Well, you're very welcome.
Well, what do you think about nuclear physics, Wes?
Yeah.
I like submarines. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating conversation. I promise.
It'll be short.
Yes. With STOA, do you want to talk about what you guys are doing, like project-wise, or
so
current state?
COVID, like everything else, has changed, so you couldn't travel. The heart of STOA is me not going to the land of fools, but going and hang out with people, being there in person, like the nurse holding the babies. There's no substitute for incarnational. There's no substitute for really being there. Yeah. So I spend a lot of my time on the phone, on WhatsApp, FaceTime, Zoom. And so been doing a lot of that, but now that's opened up, I'm getting ready to travel. I'm going to go to Brazil pretty quick.
Nice.
Try to go to some places in Europe, some places in Africa. The power of someone's presence, of showing up and saying, I care, I'm going to listen. So my job right now is I just wrote an article saying I've been on stage my last 40 years. I've been in ministry and speaking and teaching up front. Now I get to be behind the scenes of those guys like Telly Moraes in Brazil, who's leading all these different ministries and changing people's lives. So I get to go sit down with him and pray with him and his wife and tend to his life, to kind of be a pastor to pastors.
Wow.
And my job is to kind of strengthen the grip of the hold that he has on his ministry or his service. Like they're doing everything, from helping the under-resourced in their communities, creating jobs, micro businesses, things like that. Or, as you know, like Mola in Haiti, that's doing a school, tending to orphans.
Yeah.
In a country that's crazy. We just sent him. World Renewal just sent him $500 and was able to get money so he could go buy rice and beans for his orphanage. Now my prayer is that once he gets to Western Union, he can make it home without getting robbed or killed on the way back. If they see you walking to Western Union, and there's no other way to get money to him, and he's going to walk. He's going to walk 3 miles to get there and walk 3 miles to get back and try to buy rice and beans somewhere along the way to get back to feed these kids. That's real life. Whether somebody's, now think about this in perspective, someone's going to flash me on Clem Road and I'm going to give them the justice speech. First world problem, right?
100%.
And they go, my prayer is for my friend to make it home tonight.
Yeah.
And so that's a large part of what we do, is beyond just conversations like this, have an open, benevolent, caring, say, this is my thoughts, what's your thoughts? Now coming alongside those guys that are really kind of, it's part of the vernacular, but on the front lines. He's really dealing with life and death.
Yeah. It's the baby again,
Yeah.
The headlights are the baby crying, and this guy is worried about getting home alive.
Yes.
Big difference.
And my job is to come in, and I just talked to him before I came in here, and it's like, when I say I'm praying for you, I'm asking for protection. I'm asking, there's this spiritual realm that I believe in, that I hope and pray that he makes it home safe, not just in words, but in my heart. And, fight those battles with him, I guess, as best I can, and then be there for him when I can. Right now, last 3 years, I haven't been able to see him because the country's been
locked
terribly
down.
dangerous and locked down, And if I could go, and if it opens up that where I'm supposed to go, then we'll go. But I'm going to Brazil soon, so the idea of STOA is to come alongside those guys, gals, people, leaders, whatever, whether they're in church ministry or digging water wells, or whether we're doing an eye care clinic or a medical team, or going and teaching leaders, how to have grace and compassion, or setting and counseling a couple that's struggling, that I have the capacity to do all those things, so I'm trying to use those things without getting too diffused. So when I go, it's kind of like jack of all trades, master of none, probably.
Sure, yeah.
But to just show up and say, how can I be of service? How can I help strengthen your grip? If your marriage needs strengthening, let's strengthen that. If your ministry needs strengthening, let's strengthen that. If the water well needs another pair of hands to dig it, let's dig it. Let's jump in.
Grab me a shovel.
Grab me a shovel. Yeah. So kind of that idea of coming alongside and walking with them and being present, so they know someone's for them. So they know someone out there, they're not alone. And I'm grateful for a group of people that say, we're going to fund you to go to them so they don't have to come here. So that's kind of what we did, a long time ago, was we take guys from Kenya, Africa, come over here, put them in Bible college, and they'd be away from their wives for 4 or 5 years and their kids. And then we try to send them back, and now they're Americanized, and it's like, I want to stay here.
Yeah.
Right? This
Yeah.
is way better than, being in a dirt hut somewhere.
Yeah. There's no lions.
Yeah, there's no lions, and the cost to get them over here, to house them, give them a private education, because all Bible colleges are not funded by the government, so it's private. So that's exponential dollars. Somebody's got to pay for that. Or what STOA does is we go to them for free.
Yeah.
We give a few dollars to help me fly over there and support that, so I can be freed up to go do that.
In their natural community. Yes.
And the cool thing about technology is I can talk to them every day, every week.
Yeah.
And so it's not, there's a value of being able to converse with them online, but there's the other value of going there and being with them present.
Sure.
So that's kind of what we do.
That's awesome. And people can they donate to STOA? Okay, so they can go. There's a website, STOAministries.org, I believe.
Yeah. There's a website, and it's got a QR code. And you give to that, and what that does is help fund to go to that. We're not for profit 501c3, and so it's tax deductible, and so it does everything from help people with orphanages, to water wells, to teaching, to go and being there. The people that are actually there, we really get to help the leaders lead the other people. Yeah. And so that's the heart of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So. We need to get you guys set up with some crypto wallets too. Borderless payments. It'll help.
Yeah. I have no idea what that is, but
I can assist. Heard of it. Yeah, I can assist. There was one donation to MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, and somebody donated like $50 million in Bitcoin. It was an insane amount of money. It was one of the whale, an older whale. Yeah. But like, what? Who? Thank you. Yeah. So maybe we should set STOA up with one of those.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So STOAministries.org, you can donate there. And then did you want to talk about the guidance and care? Guidance and care.
Yeah, guidance care.
How does that operate?
So that's my business.
Sure.
So that it's a counseling business. So everyone needs a little guidance. Everyone needs a little care, and I'm here in Joplin, and so that was what my master's degree work was in, marriage and family therapy, and so that's why when we talk cognitive behavior therapy and the spirituals, so I'm a Christian. I also happen to do some counseling or therapy, and so that's my day job, so that I can afford to do my ministry habit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And so that's where people would pay to come in and have clients to see me and walk with them. Yeah. Through their hurts, habits, hang-ups, struggles, life.
That's great. Yeah.
Sit down and talk with some amazing, courageous people.
Yeah, absolutely. I can attest because we did the premarital counseling with you, Kelsey and I. Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
7 years. Woo. 7 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome. But it was very beneficial. Cool. And just the questions that you asked and the concepts that you framed. It's like to a pre-married couple that you just you're not even aware of that you're ignorant in those ways. So I think you're doing great work, and I hope people take advantage of that. Thanks. And access your wisdom and your knowledge and your guidance, because it's very valuable. At least I think so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for being on the show. I had a great time.
My privilege. It's so cool to get to be with you and hang out. It's just fun to see you.
Yes. Come back anytime, because we didn't talk about we made it about those two highlighted concepts is all we made it to. The rest we didn't even get to.
Okay, we'll do it again.
So we got a lot more to talk about. So.
Well, I hope people don't stone you after this.
Wish they would. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're good. No, it was very fun. I had a lot of fun, and come back anytime.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Sci-Fi and Friends podcast, episode number 75. Go check out STOA Ministries, STOAministries.org. You can go follow along with all the projects that they're doing, or donate, and check Wes out on Facebook under Wes Davis, just like it sounds, just like it's spelled. If you want to donate to the podcast, links below. Austin's got them taken care of. And hope you guys all have a great week. See you later. Peace.
Sci-Fi wins.